Bill Self always has a very respectable program, and wow, I'm going to go with hair weave on that, Lubie. I don't know that it's a piece per se. We played piece or no piece, which is trying to figure out if the guy's wearing a hairpiece or not. Now, I was at a bar yesterday after I played tennis with my son in the morning. Wow, I mean, the people of Pompano Beach, whoever's selling the hairpieces here, is really just robbing people blind or assuming that they are blind because why not just stick a muskrat or a dead squirrel on your head? What is the point of wearing something that looks so stupid, so obvious?
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
You have to be careful what you say about that particular subject. Very sensitive, the hair loss thing. Somebody might come out of the audience here on Ion Channel and just slap both of us in the face. Me for being obsessed with hair pieces, and you for laughing at my silly jokes about people that may have problems. Now, we don't mean to imply anything negative about that. It just happens to be fact that if you play piece or no piece, you're going to see a few really horrible hair pieces out there, and you start to notice them more as you start to play the game. Hey, good morning, everybody. Good to be with you here on Ion Channel. Jeff Deforrest, one Mike Lubitz. It's a Degenerate Friday, and wow, what a perfect time to degenerate. Later on in the program, the professor, once again, with the professor's big board, and I don't know where his handicapping is going to go. He doesn't really get into the NBA. College basketball and college football are basically his thing, so I'm not sure he's going to have any selections. Is it Australian rules football season yet? Because during the pandemic, nobody was more creative in finding degenerate action. And absurd, bizarre, uncommon degenerate action than the professor when he realized that he could hit it out of the park on Australian rules football. So I don't know if they're in season. I'm going to assume that they're not.
No, they are.
Yeah?
Yeah, he gave us picks like 2 or 3 weeks ago. He just got enraptured in the tournament and the big board. So we'll see if we can talk about doing a little bit of Aussie rules.
And this would be the only show where you'll find that. And by the way, just a note here, Andy up earlier, up early this morning, the birthday boy from yesterday turned 65, and that was remarkable in and of itself in light of the many health conditions that he's had to endure to get to this point. The ticker, when the ticker's not right, it's not really a pleasant thing, and it doesn't bode well for the future. But nonetheless, the methodology, it's come a long way since Christian Barnard, right? When he walked into the hospital with that baboon and said, hey, we can put that right in this guy's chest right now, and he's going to live forever. And people were like, come on, Christian, what did you lose your mind? But he did come up with the heart transplant, the original one. That didn't last that long. Yeah, do you remember what happened to the original guy that got the heart transplant? Did he check out after 2 weeks? I don't know. What was he over under?
God, probably didn't. Yeah, you're not. He probably didn't last. They were futzing around.
Somebody's got to be the first, right? The Wright brothers, they didn't get off the ground that long, and yet they're credited with, everything that's happening today in modern day aviation, stuff that we take for granted, that you can even get a Spirit Airlines flight off the ground. That was encouraging news. Did you see that? JetBlue, which usually is regarded as a very pleasant experience in terms of air travel, is making a bid to buy Spirit Airlines. Does that mean that they still run it in the same fashion as Spirit Airlines?
I don't know.
Hey, Joe, bring that propeller out to the plane. Yeah, no, they're going to need it. What? Propeller? I forget the name of the airlines. Mohawk, that was it. Mohawk Airlines. I used to take Mohawk Airlines from New York City. Once in a while, I would fly up to Syracuse when I was going to school there. Hitchhiking was still in vogue then, but every now and then you had to expedite the trip a little bit. So I would take a flight up there. And much like Allegiant Airlines goes to a lot of small cities like Lexington, if you were going to go to Keeneland, which opens up today. For you degenerates out there, that's racing nirvana. It really is. Although not always the easiest place to hit, but you do get a lot of bombs coming in there. Horses are coming in from all over the place, but it's spectacular. And if you get there, I just had an invitation to go up there next Friday with a friend of mine. Get this, Lubie, with a free place to stay. How about that? That
Nice.
saves you a lot of money because they do juice the prices on the hotels. It's not as obnoxious as it is at near Churchill Downs for the Kentucky Derby. Anything near Churchill Downs, which essentially is a racetrack that on any other occasion you would have almost no desire to go to. It's not bad, but as Betty Davis said, "Who's afraid of Virginia Woolf?" What a dump. They fixed it up. I mean, they did spruce it up a little bit. So not all of the areas there are back in the Stone Age, but they did a nice job, actually, there of integrating the old and the new. And they kept like the Twin Spires and some of the classic things about Churchill Downs. But to pay like $600 a night for a Red Roof Inn, come on.
Ugh.
Who was the guy? Was it Martin Mull? Who was the guy that used to do that commercial for the Red Roof Inn?
Oh,
And that wasn't the one. The Motel 6 was the one where somebody's going to leave a light on for you.
yes.
Which they would have to just to ward off the cockroaches.
Keep the criminals away.
Red Roof Inn, is it an upgrade from like a Motel 6 or a Super 8? It's right in that category. Yeah, a little bit of an upgrade maybe. At least they have a lobby in the hotel. And the guy doesn't look like he, just busted out of jail who's, arranging for your room. Yeah, I think it's ready. Don't worry about a thing. Here's a key. And the key comes on a cinder block. That's always a bad sign when you're staying in a hotel. But it's like $500-$600 a night, Lubie, to stay in these hotels. I mean, that are normally like $49.95. So they don't juice the prices that badly at Keeneland, but it definitely is worth the trip. If you're a horse player, I would imagine you would have to have some sort of deeper interest in thoroughbred racing than just being a casual fan to really enjoy going there, unless you wanted to tour like the University of Kentucky campus. I don't know. You have any interest in that, Libby? I wouldn't have any interest in that.
Not really. No.
Not much else going on there, I can assure you. Now, if it's crappy out, I mean, if it's raining and it's cold, it's not the most fun unless you're in some kind of, uppity type of arrangement like the green room there, which we've been able to infiltrate a couple of times. But just to be in the stands with crappy weather, Keeneland, not exactly a pleasant experience. But when it's nice there with like 65, sunny, clear skies, wow. I mean, just pure racing nirvana. So I'm thinking about doing that. I don't know, Libby. You think I can make that arrangement? Get up there next Friday? Yeah, like a one-day trip, maybe. Could be one of those things. But that's Allegiant Airlines. And, I don't know.
Playboy. I'll give you credit. You go for it.
When the airline symbol is a skull and crossbones.
Exactly.
That's real gambling. The gamble is whether or not you're going to get there in one piece. More so than whether or not you're going to win or lose money while you're out there at the racetrack. I don't know. I'll have to think about that one. But opens up today, Keeneland Racecourse, and the horse players just absolutely love it. They dive in there and bet with both fists. So should be a lot of fun today. Later on in the card, I would imagine I will be implanted somewhere at a pari-mutuel facility. Now, speaking of wagering, a lot of things happening. Wow, the Masters yesterday. Tiger Woods. Does anybody in our listening audience, viewing audience, know here on Ion Channel who the leader is of the Masters tournament right now? Who's leading after one round? You had no idea, right? Because you never saw a shot of the leader on any newscast and anywhere else for that matter. Correct?
I never, even when I was looking at the leaderboard, they like zoom right by the person. Like I had not seen this person hit one ball at all.
The leader is a guy named Sung Jae Im, who I believe is a South Korean. And he has been prominent. He finished second in the Masters in 2020. So it's not like it was impossible to figure this guy to have a good tournament. And he's one of those guys that every time you're thinking about betting a golf tournament, you do take him into consideration if he's in the field. Sung Jae Im. He's actually fairly prominent. Now, he's not John Rahm or, any of the big name guys that you would be familiar with. Justin Thomas, you're thinking, is going to do well. My man Victor Hovland, I guess, is sort of hovering around, still in contention. But we were involved in a betting pool. John Congemi, who is our golf correspondent here on the program and has played the course and actually is he says he's a 3 and a hook now, handicap. But
okay, that's still
this guy. That means what? He's shooting a 75, 76 every time he takes the course?
Sub 80. That's a win.
Who could say that? Nobody.
I know.
No one in my circle of friends and acquaintances, that's for sure. I don't know any scratch golfers out there, but Kajemi, you could imagine. I mean, he's an excellent athlete. Was a guy good enough to play Division I college football and played in the pros in Canada, and then was on the Celebrity Golf Tour, which is kind of a unique thing. Although you have to be a decent golfer. It's not like
Yeah.
They do have celebrities out there that are clowning around like Barkley was for many years. I don't know how good of a golfer Joe Pesci is. He was talking about Pesci the other day and how Pesci had action on every shot, every hole with every guy, which is something that on a Degenerate Friday show we have great respect for, do we not?
You're gonna say that
Obviously.
Right?
But he was doing well. I mean, this was a deal where you pick 7 guys from 7 different columns. It's not uncommon, right? Because you saw in our Believe Network golf pool that was offered to us, which I was unable to get my entry to submit, which it really wouldn't matter since I went up and smoked right away the first day. That's been happening to me a lot lately with these golf tournament bets, where my entire team is over par. And, one guy withdrew, Paul Casey. He didn't even play.
Not even playing. I scratch.
I'm looking for his name. I'm like, what happened to Paul Casey? He's usually pretty good in these events. He surprises people by being in contention. He's scratched.
Oh my God, Dave.
Now that doesn't ruin you though, because and the odd thing is, the ruling is there are 7 columns in this thing. I wish I had the sheet with me. I left it in my car, but 7 columns of players, and you have to pick one from each column. Column A, column B. It's kind of like ordering at a Chinese restaurant that has an expanded menu.
I felt like I was getting a lunch.
Yeah. There you go. Like, I'll have the mushu pork and let me see. What's on column B there? Chow mein. Yeah, chicken chow mein. Does anybody order chow mein at a Chinese restaurant anymore? Is it even on the menu, chow mein?
Yeah,
yes?
Yeah, my mom likes chow mein. Yeah, she gets it.
I like chow mein, but I haven't had it in centuries because it seems bizarre to go to a Chinese restaurant and order the chicken chow mein.
Yep, never.
Now, is Chung King still in business? Chung King. Remember they made canned chow mein, and it was a big staple of my youthful diet.
Yeah, I think it's in business. The canned stuff. Yeah, I think it still exists.
Remember they had the big can of the stuff, and then they had like a little can attached to it that you had to like kind of tear off there, and then I don't know what was in the little can. Was that the rice? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Or was that the actual stuff?
I never bought it. I've just seen it in Publix before. I've never bought
Chung King chicken chow mein. Well, that was a regular thing. I mean, every couple of weeks we were serving up at the Deforrest household a little Chung King chicken chow mein. But to go to a Chinese restaurant and order the chow mein, does that really happen anymore? I mean, or is that just on the kids' menu? Help me out with this, Lubie. Maybe I will get the Gambling Gourmet. He would know. Mike Mayo. He would know the answer to that.
Ordered chow mein. I just know it exists.
What kind of look does the waiter give you? I mean, what does a dirty look like in Chinese?
Isn't it always? They're never happy. I've never had gone to a Chinese restaurant and have the server be like a normal server. They're always very quick to the point and don't like you. Always. It's always like, okay, my hurt. Like I always look around. Like, are they talking to me?
Yeah. Am I bothering you by putting this order in? I mean, what do you think, man?
Okay, and they leave. Here you go, and then they leave, and I'm like, I mean, that was efficient, but I don't feel loved.
I don't mean anything offensive by like just throwing a little bit of an accent in here, but the famous line is, "No come with fried rice, you pay extra."
Yeah, always. It's always pay extra too. Everything's pay extra.
Always extra. It's not an upcharge. It's just you pay extra. You pay extra. All right, we're on dangerous turf here with the Chinese restaurant material. I just don't believe that anybody orders chicken chow mein anymore. And I do recall seeing it on the menu because I checked for it the other day. I had like a little takeout menu. I had nothing to read. My post hadn't come yet, so I'm reading a Chinese menu here on the toilet. My life has become a disaster. It's a shambles. Ever since I, increased my gambling outlay of cash and the denominations with which I was sending it in at the racetrack. Yesterday, a little bit of a disaster. Although our good friend Big Rich hit something for like 3,600. He hit the early Big Five at Gulfstream Park. One of the races won by a real good buddy of ours, the great Luca Panici.
Oh,
was aboard actually like one of the favorite horses. Luca's usually on something that's like 60-1 or better. So I was like, well, who's this Luca Panici? It's got to be a different guy. He's on a 5-2 shot. You got to be kidding me.
You were like shocked. He had a shot.
One for fun by the length of the stretch. It may as well have been Lafitte Pink Eye at that point, man. I mean, the horse was going to win the race anyway. But so anyway, in this golf proposition, you're picking a guy from one of 7 columns, one guy from each of 7 columns. And each column has probably at least a dozen guys in it. So, it's a tough choice, and you're going to have to pick. And the way they do it, most of these pools, and it was very similar to the one that we had from Believe. So this is not a unique format. Very similar, where they kind of group guys together that make it a tough choice. Guys of similar ranking, whatever. Like the top 10 might be in one list, on one list, and then it goes on from there. So you're always having to make sort of a competitive choice.
Yeah.
And I made all the wrong ones yesterday. Is there a changing of the guard in golf that just flew by me?
Who was the guard, though? Like, that's my thing. Is what happened to Jason Day? Like, there was a group of Fowler, Spieth, McIlroy, Day.
Fowler for me is a throwout in every tournament.
Oh, they're not even in it anymore. Yeah. Like, none of them seem to be in it anymore. Like, what Johnson hangs around, but like those other guys, and this is now 6-7 years ago.
Well, Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth, Dustin Johnson, they were all big a few years ago. They're still prominent. Dustin Johnson has to have a fairly high ranking. He's not number one in the world anymore. John Rahm, you're thinking, how many tournaments can this guy be favored in where he blows a gasket in the opening round? He didn't really blow up yesterday. All these guys, I suppose, are still somewhat in contention. But you would never know that Sung Jae Im is the leader. Now, with this Paul Casey deal, the ruling is if your guy doesn't start, in other words, he's on the list, but he doesn't actually start the tournament, then you get the player that was at the top of that particular list. All right? Okay. So Casey was actually at the top of that list, and you know who's second on the list? And this isn't done because that top player is necessarily going to be the best choice. Yes, it just happens to be arbitrary that he's at the top of the list. I don't even know. It might be alphabetical the way they do these lists, but the next guy on the list, who I now inherited as a player, it's kind of like getting the favorite when your horse is scratched in one of these sequences, like a pick 4, pick 5. Your horse gets scratched out of, say, the third leg of the thing. Now you get the post-time favorite. It's too late to go back and change the ticket. They can't have guys go and rebet. So you get the post-time favorite, which usually is a disaster because in most cases you're trying to beat the post-time favorite. So I end up with Bryson DeChambeau, which you would figure not bad, although I would not have picked DeChambeau. Obviously I didn't. I took Casey over DeChambeau to begin with. But DeChambeau has been out with a wrist injury, and you had to figure that he was not exactly going to be razor sharp going into the Masters in the first round. If anything, he's going to be, as they say, in the first round of any boxing match. Well, looks like they're in a little bit of a feeling out process. In other words, what a feeling out process is in boxing, there is zero action going on. Yeah. Nothing is happening. Neither guy is throwing a punch. It looks like it's going to be the worst stiff of a match that you've ever seen in your life. And so as an announcer, you fall back to the standard cliche description. Well, this looks like a little bit of a feeling out process. In other words, you're a lying scumbag, Mr. Announcer. This is the worst fight that you've ever seen, which I had the pleasure of calling the worst fight in history. But and it's documented with over 2.3 million views on YouTube. Isn't that amazing?
My favorite is through the years, there's some anniversary or something, but once a year, I'll start getting messages like, have you seen this? I'm like, yes. I don't even look anymore. I'm like, yes, I've seen it. Yes, it's Defo. Yes, it's the worst fight.
Well, it was the worst boxer ever. I mean, the fight itself was relatively short, so I don't know that it could qualify as the worst ever. I mean, it was obviously a mismatch. As the house fighter, some guy named Tony Mosca knocked the crap out of this guy named Jimmy Smith, who had no business ever being licensed to box. This guy shouldn't have been licensed to do anything. He shouldn't have even been, like Tiger, probably shouldn't be licensed to drive, but he can play golf. So the story was all Tiger Woods yesterday. DeChambeau blew a gasket. All of my guys are over par. Justin Thomas didn't do too well. He wasn't out of it completely. Victor Hovland, who I thought was going to win the tournament, not completely out of contention, but not exactly, knocking him dead on the leaderboard there, which this Sung Jae Im shot 5 under to lead the tournament. Tiger's at 1 under par, which in and of itself is remarkable, is it not?
That's crazy. He finished a round, first of all, which I wasn't sure he'd be able to do. And he's in contention, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, he played great. I mean, scrambled. Tiger was always great. All these guys are tremendous. I mean, at troubleshooting. When they're in jackpots, it's amazing how many times they salvage par from driving the ball to another fairway where they're behind a complete wall of trees.
Straight trees.
Right. Now, you know what would happen if you were in that position. You would either throw the ball out there or pretend it never went in there in the first place, drop one out of your pants leg into the fairway, and then look around, and give them one of those. And the ball drops. Oh, yeah, there it is. Look, see, I told you it went straight.
100%. I've done it many a time. I don't even think about it.
If you don't cheat at golf, then there's no reason to play the game. That's my theory. The game was designed to cheat. I don't really like cheating in other sports. I don't want to win tennis matches or games that I'm playing with other guys. I'm a recreational player, let's face it, not in any tournaments. But I don't want to job a guy on a line call.
Nah.
I'm sure I made my share of mistakes here and there. I try to give the guy the benefit of the doubt, whoever I'm playing. And every now and then, I mean, we often mention this with Harvey Fialkoff when he's on the show on our Tuesday edition. He plays a guy that's a sports writer here, covered the Heat since their inception, and is outstanding at what he does, Ira Winderman. But he's not a great tennis player and blind as a bat. Either that, I mean, some people just think that all of their shots are in and all of yours are out.
Yes.
You ever notice that?
Yes.
Like as badly as they're calling the ball when they're trying to figure out if your shot was in or out. That's how, exaggerate that even further, and they think everything they hit was in. Ball makes like a mortar shell like mark 4 feet out of bounds, right? It's there. It's like a hole. You have to call the groundskeeper. Hey, Kevin, can you come fix this? Yeah, no, it's going to need a little clay. And the guy's looking at you in total stunned disbelief that you call that out. Winderman was one of those guys, he would bank one off the fence, right? And the ball would literally hit the fence. So you make no call, and you go back to, like, serving or whatever you were doing.
You know what it is.
And then, you might say to score, okay, 30 love. And he goes, what? 30 love? That was out? And he's incredulous.
I get hit the fence, bud.
Hit the fence, yeah. Rebote, man. I mean, you're waiting for Joey Kornblit to dive to the floor and send it up there. Like, it looked like a highlight shot. Going off the back wall. The attention to Tiger, was it over the top? Every newscast only features Tiger Woods. You would not know Sung Jae Im was in the tournament.
No idea.
I don't really blame them for going wild over this. I mean, it is, as we said, you can't help but recognize that that's a hell of a sports story. The guy could have just as easily been dead. They were talking about amputating his right leg. This is the Monty Stratton story all over again. You have to go back and watch that movie, Lubie.
I've heard of
Jimmy Stewart, June Allison. I mean, when June Allison wells up, when they throw the bunt down on him, and Monty Stratton with a wooden leg falls to the ground and he can't field it in the All-Star game, they brought him back to pitch in. And you're like, wow. I mean, I was just crushed. And then, of course, the next guy gets up and does the same thing. And this time he feels the ball and the crowd goes nuts. And it looks like everything's going to be okay. So we'll see. I mean, what will day 2 be? For Tiger Woods, all eyes of the golf universe and sporting universe will be on Tiger Woods. It didn't matter that it was opening day in baseball yesterday. You would not have even known. You could hear a pin drop around Major League Baseball stadiums because everybody was enthralled and infatuated with the whole Tiger Woods story, which turned out to be, you would have to say, what would you have preferred to see, Lubie? This or Tiger shoot a 97 and never play golf again? What do you think?
97, honestly. But again, it's about the story. How much can we talk about him getting a 97? So him being competitive makes it more viable to discuss.
Was great. I mean, hung in there, 1 under. Probably could have done a little bit better. He scrambled out of several real jackpot situations and seems to be ideally suited. I mean, he knows the course. He knows where to put the ball. And if he could hit a little bit straighter with the driver, this guy is obviously a little bit of a threat. So those that have Tiger to make the cut, does he go plus 10 today? I mean, what could possibly go wrong here if you had laid the 120 to win 100 that he would make the cut? I think it was 120 to win 100. And if he would miss the cut, it actually was the favorite proposition, I believe, at minus 110 for you degenerates out there. I don't know. Do we need to explain the language on a Degenerate Friday? I don't think so.
No.
Because you're thinking, you're talking to the common man. They don't know what you're talking about. Minus 120, minus 110. But the crowd that we have here, it's like, hey, bring it on, man. You're speaking my language. It sounds like Shakespeare is talking to the crowd.
If you're watching us.
It's great.
Yes.
Wherefore art thou, Romeo?
Exactly.
So great story there. Other guys are in contention. Kangemi had like 3 guys in the top 10, all 3 under par. He had Scotty Scheffler.
Okay.
He had Dustin Johnson, 3 under par, and I think Johnson bogeyed like 17. He was 4 under par coming down the stretch there, and they usually make par on 17 and 18. These pros at Augusta National. It doesn't seem like there were overwhelmingly treacherous holes. You're expecting a guy to make a 4, although Johnson actually was in the gallery. He got away with murder on 18, Dustin Johnson. He could have fallen apart at the seams there, just unraveled like your dog's toy after, Skippy in this case. He's not much of a toy destroyer. My other dog, my little dog, she will destroy every toy that's in front of her. Just takes it and like an accountant looking at my taxes. Starts going into all kinds of gesticulations and gyrations and saying, "What? You think you're going to get away with this? Are you kidding me? Golf clubs you want to write off? You haven't played in 30 years, Defo. You really want to write them off again this year, huh?"
Again, you're just buying clubs every year.
I buy a new set every year. I don't even play.
They happen to be in Nevada and in New Jersey.
Yeah, I'm hitting balls around the racetrack infield there. That'd be the only chance I would have to be on any kind of piece of landscape or real estate that looks like, it could potentially become a golf course. So it'll be wild today. I mean, I'll be watching. I wasn't as riveted to it because I ended up, I was going to go for my walk of life and the lightning started. So I made the mistake of making a premature move to a local parimutuel facility where I proceeded to get buried. And see, you can't hide anything from the wife anymore, you sick, degenerate bastards out there that, used to be able to tell the wife, oh, yeah, I took a couple of guys out to dinner. So first of all, she knows you're not paying cash for that. And second of all, every bank movement is traced all the way back to Moscow. I mean,
especially with apps, you know what's taken out or put in. I mean, especially you keep track of your money.
I don't even think even Hunter Biden could hide the money that he's losing gambling from his wife or spouse. All right. Was he married, Hunter Biden, and divorced? I believe he is.
Maybe.
Or he has something. He's got like a child out of wedlock with some stripper. Yeah.
It's a stripper.
Boy, I mean, is he the, the offspring, the son version to Joe Biden of what Billy Carter was to Jimmy Carter?
Or he's like Roger Clinton.
Yeah, where you find out, wow, the guy has like a buffoon brother, but he's president of the United States.
Exactly. Yeah, Roger Clinton.
You're wondering how the hell they came from the same parents. It's incredible. But I mean, you can't hide any of these transactions anymore, and they register right away. Like if you buy a drink at the track and you use your credit card, right? Because nobody wants to let go of any of their cash when they're at a racetrack, unless you just happen to make a score, like Big Rich did yesterday, hitting that pick 5 for 3,600. How about that? Nice little move there. Bet $84, and he won 3,600. Great move. Yeah,
for him.
Had a single in the last race. He needed one horse to come through, and sure enough, it did. After hitting a bomb, that the horse that triggered it, he had done all in one race, which is always a nice move. And he got the bomb. He got the long shot that he needed, 35-1 shot. And that set up the stage for the entire ticket. But, I mean, maybe Big Rich was swinging a few sticks around the bar. Hey, drinks for everybody. Or, see, now, would you keep that quiet if you won a bunch of money, or would you buy the bar around of drinks? What would you be more inclined to do?
I appreciate you for asking. I feel like you understand what I would do.
I know what you would do. Yeah.
I would leave, and no one would have it. Why did Lubie leave? Don't worry about it.
No, it wouldn't even be, why did Lubie leave? It would be like, hey, where's Lubie?
I would have been left.
I just saw him. He was at the window cashing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I would run. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that money would be in the trunk long before it ever got to the bartender. That's
I
for
don't
sure.
have to generate. Like, I've had to learn to generate code from you guys. I end up like, if I put money down and I win, why is it you're over there? Like, I don't understand that thinking. Like, Andy has made fun of me because we were somewhere and he came out and he was talking about a story, and I'm like, why would you share the money? And he looked at me like I was an asshole.
Like, you are an asshole if you don't, share the wealth a little bit.
It makes sense now. I've been
We're
around.
hanging out with a bunch of guys. You hit for like a few $100. I mean, you're not gonna. The drinks are very reasonably priced at the particular parimutuel facility where I'm enjoying my screen-to-screen simulcasting. So, I mean, if you bought 5 drinks, it's going to cost you what, $30, something like that. I don't know. That's not worth it. Just it's a gesture. It's good karma you're creating. You don't want to be some cheap, miserly scumbag, Lubie.
You just ask, what would I do? Like, in me, my natural reaction would be, all right, I'll see you guys.
I mean, a classic of all time of your general ungratefulness was when I told you I was going to give you like 25% or something of money if I won this
You gave me
bet.
a
And
percentage. I'm like, all right,
then I won the bet. It was a substantial amount of money, which
that's
none of
good.
which you were entitled to.
It's not mine.
I just felt badly for you that you were standing there bored to tears watching us gamble our brains out. And I think I shorted you on the 25%, like $5 or
You
something.
just gave me the nearest number, and you gave me.
All I had was hundreds. I handed you like a couple of sticks, as I recall.
Yep.
And you said, no, it should be 205.
Where's the 10?
205? How do you even know what this thing paid? How much? I mean,
I
you
didn't
don't even know what I had on this bet. I'm the one that made the bet. I laid out the cash. I really did question, the essence of your character.
The gambling. No, I've had to learn the gambling, not only the vernacular, which I finally sort of got down, but the gambling aura and the feeling, and it's like a team effort. Like you're in it.
Depends on your relationship with the people that you're going to whatever gambling facility you're at with. I mean, you could have an occasion where let's say you hit a jackpot. I was playing this game, Let It Ride, in the Harris Casino. I like the game. It's a stupid game. We know this, and this is another thing going back to one of the great gambling philosophers of all time, my good friend Eddie Kaplan, who did a radio show I mean, you talk about the forerunner to Degenerate Friday. This guy's whole show was nothing but degeneracy. It was great. And this is way ahead of his time, man. I mean, imagine the value of this man's show today. Although he would be reluctant to, kind of, get you involved in some of these come-on things and things like that. Whatever outfit he endorsed, you would have to think that is one mensch of an organization, because he had that kind of credibility and the kind of character where he wasn't going to push you in a direction that he didn't think was wise for you to go in when it came to gambling and your gambling habits. But yeah, I mean, he had many outstanding gambling theories, and he just always was right on the money. But if there was a way to separate you from your cash, we will find it. We will find it.
Oh yeah, we will.
I forgot which Kaplan theory I was going to allude to. If you noticed there was a little bit of a
I know. I was waiting to see. I'm like, Defo's usually good at coming back. I want to see if he can find it.
No, I couldn't fish it out of my mind there, because I kind of lost track of the entire direction of the conversation.
I started thinking about our show and where we're going the rest of the hour. So
yeah,
I was.
It'll come back to me. It'll come back to me. No, he had many great gambling theories, this guy. He really did.
A lot. And he's like a legend. What do you mean? The fact that you can pick the time you end.
Oh, I got it. Yeah, I got it. I know what we were going to say, because we were talking about Let It Ride, right?
Yes.
And that is that there is never a new casino game that is designed or introduced. I mean, there's been a lot of this stuff that has come out lately. I mean, they had Caribbean Stud Poker. That was a nightmare of a game. People won money at it, but normally it was a disaster, and it was designed just to make you, consider alternative methods of living. It was crazy, because you had to have the dealer qualify, so you could have had the greatest hand in the world, and you're finally positioned to make a score, and unless you played like the hideous $5 bonus on every hand, you were getting nothing for like having 4 aces, nothing. If the dealer didn't have like a king high in his hand. And now they have what? They have Mississippi Stud Poker. Have you seen that? Mississippi Stud Poker. A lot of people think that is a really good game. Of course, you see all of the Asian people playing Baccarat, and they seem to be in just outright frustration. Does anybody win at Baccarat? They're always like ripping the cards up and firing them at the dealer.
Didn't 007 always win? It wasn't that 00 Sean Connery.
Never had any problem, yeah. I have to be honest with you, as many times as I've watched it, and there were times where I kind of understood what was going on, I still don't really understand what the point is of Baccarat. I think it's to get 0 or something. I don't know. And it's player, bank, and the tie. And these guys bet big money on this. Is it a game that you actually have a little bit of an edge? Because supposedly, by all casino theory, the game that has the least house advantage, believe it or not, Lubie, is craps. If you played craps by the books, the house only has like a 1% edge or something like that.
That's too fun. Craps is fun. I love craps. Is the one where there's like 40 people there all the time, and everyone's like, "Yeah!" Like I love craps. I like just watching people play.
Craps is an action game. It's a fun game, except when you're getting crushed,
hammered.
In which case, like any other form of gambling, it's a disaster. And probably the worst thing you'll ever experience in your life. Now, if the house, this is what baffles me about craps, though. If the house only has this 1% advantage, then how is it that everybody is getting wiped out? Because they just play like stupid morons? I mean, is that it? Or if you played by the book, would you just eventually lose that 1% and have very little chance of winning any money? That's another possibility that you have to take a look at, because gambling, naturally, by its very nature, is meant to be a gamble.
Yes.
As the professor would tell you, there's no short thing. It's not called winning, it's called gambling.
Yep.
I think blackjack is second in terms
Yes.
of marginal house edge. Roulette has the 2 zeros, 0 and 00. And that basically, equates out to the house advantage in that game. So they're paying you 35-1, even though it's a 37-1 proposition. So what is that? That's
automatically win no matter what. Then
if math classes were worth anything, I would be able to. I sort of could calculate that by a cockamamie method. It's not like I'm going to use Pythagorean theory, but I could probably tell you that that's like a 7% advantage or something like that, right?
Well, then you should have just kept going with math and then engineering. Like our job's centered around math.
Degenerate math, it's
another
much
level of math.
Much more practical, though, and I think it's much more helpful to the mind than studying like parallelograms, right? What do you think? When was the last time you invoked any kind of system that you had to recall your knowledge of fourth grade, parallelograms?
My sixth or seventh grade geometry that I hated has never come into play.
Never. Right. That's the truth, right? Trigonometry. You ever use that? I don't even remember what it was. Do you?
No, I was
trigonometry.
I never got up to trig, so good for you that you did some trig.
Geometry, algebra. Remember algebra? You'd be sitting there, with those division signs and all this stupid stuff.
I'm never going x to the second or whatever the fuck. Yeah, no. I mean.
And then there was calculus, which was absolutely ridiculous, unless you were some kind of, physicist or whatever. You were going to go into something in the scientific world. But what was the point of learning calculus? 0.0. And that was usually the answer, too, right? Right? The answer was always 0-0, man. It was like a soccer score. Meanwhile, we're like listening to baseball games on the transistor radio while all this knowledge is trying to be imparted to us. And clearly, it turned out to be a complete waste of time. In fact, I don't know. I've become an advocate of the thought that there should be no school. Never mind all this crazy stuff that's going on with LGBT, and the don't say gay, all of these laws that are being passed. Should just eliminate school altogether. Wouldn't that be the way to go?
No. I thought about this the other day. I don't know how many people are going to be going to college, going to the future, especially for certain careers, but school is necessary. Believe me, a lot of people don't know things. So school is necessary. It's just the way they do school could be made more practical. I agree with.
We just went through 4 different mathematical disciplines, and they're all completely useless. Completely useless to 99% of the people that actually had to endure the hours and hours of arduous labor and work and the wasted loose leaf paper. And, the assertions by your parents that you weren't exactly concentrating on your schoolwork. Otherwise, that red number wouldn't have had to been gone over with blue ink. And how did that 5 turn into an 8? See, I don't even think you can fudge report cards anymore, which takes a lot of the fun out of education.
You can hack it. You could probably hack it. These kids are great at doing it. These kids are better at cheating than we are. They're not worse. Like these kids take cheating to like new heights. They have phones and they can have alarm. And then the watches, and I don't even want to know how to be a teacher to try and stop cheating. They're not cheating less now. They're cheating more. That's 100%.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I respect that.
I know you do. That's why I said it.
I think I'm going to start a new campaign to just eliminate education altogether, or school as it is. Educate yourself. Just go out there and educate yourself. Go out there and live a life and see what it's all about. Battle the elements, battle all the cruel things that can happen to you, and hope that you end up on a pretty good little magic carpet ride. Maybe, as the song goes, the great Tommy Castro, Oakland Bay Area blues rocker. I may be broke, but I'm not broken. Exactly. And that's the way we're going to approach things on this Degenerate Friday. All right, so we have Tiger out there writing a hell of a story. Major League Baseball opened up. I did want to allude to this, though, because right away, and I'm not sure what the source of this is anymore, because I believe that DraftKings bought out the Las Vegas Sports Information Network, right? The thing that Musburger was doing. And we often alluded to the fact that Musburger had a Bury America campaign going because his handicappers were ice cold.
Yep.
Like the worst I've ever, I mean, the best at analysis and the
Yep.
worst at picking. They must have zero gut instinct, zero. It wasn't like Earl Weaver was predicting who was going to win these baseball games for him. All right. This guy has like 4 paragraphs here. No, more than that. A fairly significant column, and he comes up with the idea that the Cubs will lose to the Brewers on opening day. And then a guy that I like, because at least he has the approach that, hey, I'm probably dead wrong about this. A guy named Stitches handicaps baseball in the New York Post. And he also was all over the fact that the Brewers would cremate the Chicago Cubs on opening day. So, of course, the Cubs won the ballgame. So
That's my favorite. That's the problem.
The analysis is brilliant here. And then on top of that, he's telling you to lay 175 with the Brewers in this ballgame, and you get crushed like the proverbial grape, my friend. Crushed on opening day. So they're off to a flying start there, 0-1 in their handicapping in the Major League Baseball thing. There was a system out there, and you couldn't start it till at least the third game of the season. But you have to do it all year long, Lubie, and I'm not sure that it's applicable anymore. Do you believe there's 2 gambling theories that are almost cliched, but at the same time, I would imagine few people actually endeavor and do this, and they may have made a profit if they had. One is bet against the defending Super Bowl champion in every game the year after the Super Bowl, because there's always going to be an inflated spread.
Yeah, the spread.
Right?
Yep.
The Rams are going to be laying, at least a point maybe in every game more than they should be.
This one got Bobby Wagner, and they're going to go insane.
All right, and the professor, who's going to join us here in just a couple of seconds here, and we'll have another spectacular edition, no doubt, of the big board, and maybe some Australian rules football. The streak theory in baseball, and that is that from opening day on, which obviously they have to play 3 games for this to be applicable, but that from any time a team either wins 3 games in a row or loses 3 games in a row, you bet on that team every game, every subsequent game to that 3 mark, wins or losses. Yep. Every game after that, you bet them to do the same thing until they reverse the streak.
Yeah.
All right. And what happens in baseball? Teams go on 9-game winning streaks, 11-game losing streaks.
Yep.
Very seldom, obviously there are going to be occasions where you get boned in the very first game, right? Where they win 3 in a row and then they lose that 4th game of the series. But Ken says, and the professor says that this system is still viable, but you would have to start like right now, thinking about it.
Yeah.
And do it with every team that gets into that situation.
That's the problem. Is year over year, it's not consistent because you don't do that. You'll do the streak, and then you forget about it, and then you try and catch a streak, and you forget about it. It's like what Ken says with his picks. Like, if you follow all of his picks, you're going to make money. Probably people don't do that. People pick this pick or that pick, and if that happens to be the wrong pick, now
like me.
About you add in other picks and parlay and totally lose on purpose for some fucking reason. But if you pick the wrong picks, he doesn't go 100%. Let's say he goes 65. Well, if you pick the 35%,
and that's what you're trying to do as a gambler. Yeah, above 60% is going to make you a winner. If these are 2 words that I have trouble saying: money management. See, that has to factor into the equation if you're going to have any success doing this. But unfortunately, none of us really want to pay any regard to that. All right, Dave, my idea of money management is making sure there's enough money in the ATM machine so that I can pay the added fee and still get the maximum amount out. All right, because at a casino, they're going to whack you for then that's like offensive too when they decline your request for money in the ATM machine because you've asked for the maximum. Like in my case, it's $500, so you're trying to get $500 out of the machine. But the fee is $599, and my bank wouldn't approve more than like $505. Mm-hmm. So now you have to knock it down to $480, which is an odd amount of money to take out of an ATM machine, and then you still get whacked for the $599. So you're already a loser. Yes. All right, we're coming back with the Professor Hialeah Park. Wow, had a good time yesterday. That card sounds very exciting, doesn't it? May 7th, right? Lubie, Henry Revolta was saying, and how about this, man? Leave it to Frank Fiore, man. You talk about a guy. This guy is the Henry Kissinger of the local sports marketing scene. He really is, because he can take factions that normally, now, I don't think there was ever anything but cooperation between some of the local promoters here. Especially you get class guys like Leon Margulies and Louis DeCubas and Henry Revolta, who you guys met yesterday here on the show. And these are very credible boxing promoters that have been here, and they've had tremendous influence with the Cuban fighters that have come over. Louis especially. I mean, he sort of started that whole movement. And, it was very much responsible for the careers of a lot of great Cuban fighters, including Joel Casamayor. And then his son is now involved in managing boxers, and they're having a great time. But it was great having Henry on, and leave it to Frank Fiore to bring all these factions together to create the most excitement for the fans. If Frank Fiore was running baseball, they wouldn't be having the problems they're having with this Manfred Mann character, right?
Probably
Where,
not.
they can't figure out what to do, and everything they say and do is in conflict. Like, yeah, we're all about the fans, but then, they stash like 21 Yankee games on some streaming service that you couldn't find with a search warrant, all right? Isn't that frustrating, too, when you can't find a game? It's bad enough when you can't find, like, the channel for an NBA game.
What do you mean? Yesterday, the Masters was the most... When did people...
Oh, God, yeah.
Opening of the Masters, and you had to wait till fucking 3 p.m. Like, who has ESPN Plus? I do, because Hulu Live made me... literally said, okay, we're making you do Disney Plus, ESPN Plus, and then some other schmanky thing. We're making you do it. I was like, fine, for $5. I'm not going to fight. Yeah. Who else has it, though? Who has ESPN Plus?
I don't. Yeah.
Stupidest thing.
I would not be inclined to subscribe to it, even though there are occasional things I probably would watch. And I doubt that I will ever ante up money again for any form of pay-per-view.
No.
Including if the Super Bowl ever goes that route, which do you not think that that's an inevitability, that the Super Bowl will be pay-per-view at some point in time?
They're trying to get on a stream.
And I suppose they're entitled, but... well, no, they make so much money, though, because, the billions of people that are watching this thing that, I mean, at $5 million for a 30-second commercial, half of which you have no idea what the product or service is, right? Those McConaughey commercials, what kind of car is that he's advocating that you buy for $60,000? That he parks in the middle of the woods somewhere and just gets out and starts talking to the wolves. What's in the air conditioning system of that car that makes you mashugana?
He's just...
How is that selling cars, though? I mean, does that make you think, wow, McConaughey just got out of a car in the middle of the woods there, and all of a sudden he's acting like a crazy man? I think I'll buy one of those. The people on Madison Avenue, man, are stealing money, aren't they? I mean, some of them.
Anymore. Now it's
there are effective ads, but my word. They should have Amy putting together the ads. At least they, would have like immediate impact, right? You see Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, you know exactly what you're thinking. You're thinking, I want to get down there. So that's the way to go. But $5 million a pop for the Super Bowl. I don't know. Does it have to go pay-per-view? I don't think so.
I don't know. I just know that yesterday there was a dumbass move. And the fact that the tournament was rarely ever on CBS. Like, why would you have it on TBS, TNT, the championship game? Like, what do you have on CBS on a Monday that's so big that you can't have the tournament title game? Like, that was, like, I don't understand what's going on with it.
What is it, Blue Bloods, Tom Selleck's show?
Yeah, exactly.
Which has lost all credibility since he's been doing those reverse mortgage ads. I mean, did you sell your soul to the devil, Tommy?
Oh,
what happened there? Well, we haven't even stooped to that yet. Huh? I mean, it's no matter what. I mean, certain, there are certain barometers that even we, with zero class whatsoever, refuse to dip below.
Honestly, yeah, exactly.
Although we're not afraid to dive in with the professor here. So he's coming up next. Hialeah Park, though, great place to go. You're going to love it. It's absolutely fantastic. The Champion Simulcasting Room, my favorite simulcasting room anywhere on the planet. I love it. I love going down there. The poker room is great. If you're a poker player, I'm not really a big poker player. In fact, I never play except in a couple of these celebrity charity events, right, where I was invited to participate. Jeff Conine has a nice tournament. He does, and they had a couple at Hialeah Park, and I was in it, and actually it's a lot of fun, right, because you've been watching Sammy Faja and the boys going all the way back to when Gabe Kaplan was calling poker on ESPN. Imagine that. I mean, how small time. Remember Kaplan? He had Gabe Kaplan, I'm talking about, the comedian.
I know. I don't remember him doing poker.
He had like a stick mic hanging from like a coat hanger that he was wearing around his neck. This was the equipment that they had dedicated to this particular broadcast because it was of worthless denomination to ESPN. And then it exploded, right? And now every place has to have a poker room, and everybody's a player, and they're all wearing the disguises and everything. It's kind of cool. And one of the best anywhere in the country is right there at Hialeah Park as well. So they have the champions, the poker room, the casino is dynamite, a dazzling casino. People are winning jackpots all the time. And El Boxeo coming back. Leave it to Frankie, man. Frank Fiore to put together yet another blockbuster. And, the excitement in January was resonating all around the boxing universe and right back to Hialeah Park for another one. So we'll keep you posted on all the details on that. Although Henry, when he was on the show, how many boxers did he name? He named like 100 guys that are going to be on the card.
At least 25 or 30.
Kept coming up with more. It was great. All right, Hialeah Park. Make sure you make your plans to be there. They're open tonight till 5 a.m. and that's into tomorrow morning, and the same thing on Saturday. So you really get to enjoy yourself and knock yourself out almost 24 hours a day at Hialeah Park. Professor coming up next year on the Defo Show. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubie, Lubitz, Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet later on, and we'll be back with more on Ion Channel in a moment. Now that
the time.
It's 7:51. Poker is your game. You're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Catholic Health Services is committed to care that changes as your needs do. Our full continuum of services is designed to be there throughout your care journey. If you need assistance with daily living, post-acute care following a serious health event, or additional medical care at home, we also offer skilled nursing and palliative and hospice care. Your care needs may change, but our commitment never does. Catholic Health Services, South Florida's #1 choice for post-acute and end-of-life care. Visit CatholicHealthServices.org.
How many gamblers did I bail out last weekend with my game of the year? $100 better made $10,000. A $500 better made $50,000. Well, I had 6 games on Sunday that I'm releasing absolutely free. These games are a burial, a blowout, a human lock. You can bet your unborn children on these 6 games.
I believe.
We now return to the Defo Show.
That's a serious commitment to an opinion there when you bet your unborn children's children on these games. Welcome back to the show, the Defo Show, Degenerate Friday, and big spotlight on every Degenerate Friday now hovers right above the professor, who's been knocking it out of the park with the Professor's Big Board, become one of the most popular segments on any streaming service anywhere in the United States of America, and especially popular, according to Andy, in Ghana, where we have more listeners than any other and viewers than any other streaming service. Professor, how are you today? Good to have you on the program.
How are you, Dave?
I'm doing well. So you acknowledge that this it's a grind out factor, huh? That bet the streak theory in Major League Baseball. You say that's proven to be a winner.
Yeah, it wins. I think it's won every year since they've tracked it, except one. In the 1 year it lost, it only lost something like 8 units for the season. The bad news is, as you said, it's grind. You got to do it every day, and it doesn't win big. I think the average takes something like 15 to 20 units for the year. So it's high action, high volume, low profit, but it is phenomenally consistent.
If those units are big enough, it becomes far more fun, right? How big is your unit? I mean, that's always the magic question, right? How big is your unit?
Oh, Jesus.
Talk to Randy.
Yeah, if your unit's $10,000, though, I mean, then you're winning $150,000 for the baseball season on a mindless bet. That
I mean, plus the other thing is, remember, there are times during the season where you'll be betting 8-9 games a day with that season. So
yes.
If you got a bankroll to lay out 10 dimes per spot, God bless you, but you're probably not going to want to go through the hassle of laying out, $90,000 a day to end up winning, 100, 115 at the end of the year.
But I mean,
If
that's
you're an
great.
action guy,
If it only
It's
lost
a
one
great
season, yeah.
again, it's a great system, but expect to win. Don't expect to win a lot.
All right, what about the bet against the
It goes
defending
back,
Super Bowl?
honestly,
Yeah.
it goes back to the casino you're talking about.
Yes.
Yes, the pass line on the craps table is the best edge-free house odds. But again, it's a grind. You're going to be sitting there for 100 rolls, 200 rolls to win, a few units. It's the same with blackjack, which again, if you know what you're doing, is actually the truth because you can neutralize the house edge. But it's like having a job. Like you're going to be playing for hours and hours and hours for, I think the expected return on that's something like 2 units an hour, something like that. That's work. That's like being employed. Who wants that?
Well, you got a lot of freebies because you're sitting for a long time at the table. Although it depends.
Yeah, but it's like everything else in a
action you're in.
casino. They're not giving you that booze to improve your judgment.
Just
not
ask
giving you
Leonard
that booze.
Toes. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not giving you that booze because they're generous. They're giving that booze because they're hoping you're going to get 5 or 6 in and start making some bad decisions.
It doesn't take me that many drinks to make bad decisions. I mean, it starts right away with a cup of coffee in the morning in a racing form. All right, the professor with us here on the Defo show. And what about the other theory, the bet against the defending Super Bowl champion? Are you an advocate of that?
I don't know
game?
the numbers on it, but I know it's pretty solid.
Yeah.
I off the top of my head, I don't remember the numbers. If you want to go with a system like that, have fun. It's not my personal cup of tea.
No, but just 2 things out there for the incoming degenerate. As we're going degeneracy 101.
If you want to introduce,
there are a couple
of
simple ways to approach it. Yeah.
Well, honestly, it would be like
it's not exciting enough for me. I could never do it because like Lubie said, you do it the first week and then you skip a week and now
you're screwed.
Essentially, you're screwed. Yeah.
It would honestly be like going to the horse track and doing like a show bet parlay, where you start with 10 or 20 bucks and you bet it on a horse to show and you try to parlay the wins.
He pays $220 and you parlay.
Yeah, I mean it can be fun. It's action, but it's kind of a grind. So to me, I guess it depends how advanced your degeneracy is. It's
how about very?
It's like anything else. It's like
check all the boxes.
You build up a certain level of tolerance, and that one drink at the bar isn't as much fun as it used to be. That one needle full of heroin doesn't really get you that place it used to.
Second line of blow, It just doesn't do it.
Like you go out there and bet $50 to show, but that 240 returns just not pumping the old endorphins like it used to.
Although I did see a couple of guys, and I was witness to this over the course of a race meet at Tampa Bay Downs. The track announcer there was a guy named Richard Grunder, and the head valet Parker was also a close friend of Richard Grunder and became a friend of mine, although his name escapes me now because this is like 35, maybe 40 years ago. But nonetheless, they had a show parlay going that they started themselves at the beginning of the season, and it was still alive like to the final day. So the money had become substantial.
I probably would have taken some cash off the table at that point. Like I think if you got
hedge out at that point,
the entire season, you got to like take half your profits off the table and shoot the rest. I mean, you got to take a profit at some point. And I question honestly after earlier in the show, taking advice from your friends, because I loved Eddie Kaplan. Eddie Kaplan was one of my favorite shows, but the guy was betting like $80 into a $95 pool to Quinella double at Miami High Life on a Monday night. Sitting there, he had 17 permutations, 16 of which were a consolation to get his own money plus minus the breakage back, because he just could not get away from that Quinella double, no matter how much of the pool he owned.
He loved it, but I know him to be a very shrewd bettor on the horses. And Mike Mayo also proliferates a theory that Eddie Kay had, which is, and he got it from Eddie Kay, and that is the best thing you can do in horse racing is bet a little to win a lot.
100%.
So he was all in on these pick 4s and pick 5s, and he could sit like you very patiently and not have action on something. Although you have a lot of action, but if he only liked one game on the card, that was it. He was very much like you in that respect, and he played the horses very patiently. He wasn't inclined. He couldn't believe that I was hopping up to the window as often as I was to go screen to screen, and thought I was a sick person for doing it.
Unfortunately for him, his late night shows were very often a Miami highlight, and I ran in this myself in the late stages of when highlight was still highlight. The pools got so small,
yes,
that if you were looking to put, I don't know, more than $10 into anything, you owned way too big a percentage of any pool.
Quinella went down to like 6 to 5.
Yeah,
from, 20 to 1. Yeah,
there was not a good bet really to be made, and it's unfortunate because I, to this day, absolutely love the sport.
I did too.
I got to say, I watched some highlights the other day, and man, the people who thought the strike players were bad, these guys from other sports that they're bringing in to learn highlight, like there is some bad highlight out there now.
Well, they're not highlight players.
I know,
but they've gotten way better. I will say that because I attended the opening and the christening of what is that Magic City Casino, and actually now they brought some of the players. I think Dania Highlight here in South Florida reopened in some capacity, and maybe those players went back, but some of their pro players were going to go and play at Magic City. But when they had and Billy Corbin, the great Billy Corbin, was making a documentary about this whole concept of the Hurricane football players now playing highlight, and
none of whom could play a lick at all.
Oh, it was worse than that. I mean, literally, because I played in a couple of highlight media games. It's not an easy game to adapt to, even if you're decent in other sports.
I don't think that natural athleticism helps rate a cease. And Assis was like 5'8" and 260 pounds, and moved like a guy who was 5'8" and 260 pounds. He was not an athlete, but he had the skill.
He could fire a rock. I mean, he really could, and he made some sensational defensive plays also, which all of these guys did. And that was, I mean, it was like you were watching a great shortstop sometimes. Playing, his eyeballs out.
A great shortstop who really loved the buffet.
Well, in Aziz's case, you know what happened with Aziz, though? Aziz is still involved in sports, the great Aziz. He is a top-notch masseuse, and he is like the main go-to guy for a lot of athletes in town, including many members of the Miami Marlins. Yeah.
I did not know
that. He became a masseuse, because he had the good hands. That
honestly sounds like some bullshit Gurgles made up for true false.
No. I've asked that as a true false.
If Gurgles dropped that as true false, I'm definitely going false.
False, right, but it happens to be true. And you would be alarmed, knocked out of your chair when you realize, wow, that was true. Are you kidding me? All right. Is Australian rules football? Are you going to handicap anything for us today before we get to the big board, Professor?
Sure, we could do that. There's a few things we like. First of all, in the golf, let's hope Dustin Johnson completely collapses and goes tits up.
Not for our sake. Not for our sake. We need him.
No, I don't want nothing to do with DJ. No. Masters action. Zalatoris.
Is that because he's a fan of Ben Affleck? I mean, what is the reason for not liking Dustin Johnson?
It's because I just didn't play him, and honestly, he's the guy who scares me. Like, I'm not worried about Sanjay M going low 3 rounds in a row, but Dustin Johnson can sort of bully the course there. So he scares me a little bit. He's, of course, always susceptible to a mental collapse. So hopefully.
So now, was you I heard screaming from 14 miles away when he bogeyed 17? And all of a sudden, the house started shaking.
That was when Cam Smith went double bogey on 18, because I was afraid he was going to run away with the tournament before anybody else even got out on the course. Him with his, I don't know what Australia went full white trash with that mullet and that white trash mustache he's got going there. He looks like he should be playing Tortuga this week. He doesn't look at all like.
Why do I feel like we're getting towards the big board material here?
We possibly were, but let's go over a little Aussie rules football.
Let's get some games,
a resurgent Richmond who had it down year last year after 3 titles in a row, looking a little bit better, playing the Bulldogs at home. The Bulldogs are actually off after very high form last year. Richmond, I'm not sure why they're getting an 11.5 at home, but I'll take that all day long. So let's start with that. Richmond plus 11.5 at home against Western Bulldogs. Then 2 teams that got off to a little bit of a slow start, the GWS Giants and Fremantle. Fremantle laying 5.5. They are at home, but we'll take the Giants plus the 5.5. They're a much better squad. They were in contention all the way till the end last year. Started off a little slow this year, but we're looking for them to turn it around. So the Great Western Sydney Giants plus 5.5. And then finally, a matchup of a team that's always high offense, low defense in St. Kilda. They've been the same team for 3 or 4 years, and a Hawthorne team that's off to a surprising start this year, but I don't think really is made of that much. So we'll take St. Kilda plus the 2.5 there in what figures to be a shootout. When it's going to be high scoring, which both teams have been this year, I have to take St. Kilda every time because that is their style. They are 100% throttle and 0% defense.
Now, can you watch these games anywhere, Professor? Or are you able to view these
Watch
games?
AFL.com.
What is it?
WatchAFL.com. Now,
it's like 3 in the morning. You got to watch it in the morning.
At either the 2:20 a.m. or the 5:10 a.m. slot.
Perfect.
So,
yeah.
You know,
you're coming down from your back.
Exactly. You have to find a way to stay up. That's for sure. But I mean, gambling and degeneracy can fuel your desire to just, stay with it as long as you can.
I need to ask before we get to the big board. How did AC go, Defo?
Oh yeah,
surprisingly well. Although it wasn't.
Did you win the 50 grand? Or did you get piece?
No, we got no piece of that, and that turned out to be a bit fugazi also because
what a shock! It was a scam.
Well, it was several drawings. It wasn't a scam, so to speak. I mean, it would have been fine. Like they had several drawings every half hour for about 3.5 hours.
So there were $10,000 drawings for $50 a piece or something along those lines.
No, it was significant. Like the low denomination was like $750, but that was in free play. Okay, no. But I mean, under any circumstance, if somebody said, "Hey, here's 7.5 sticks," go ahead and try the machines.
Yeah, you'll take it.
I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't take the free play, but when you have gotten on a plane
to win 50
and bought all your meals, and someone's like, "Here's,"
but we didn't have to buy anything.
Play. You're like, "What the hell?" Like,
here's the beauty of it.
Came here for the 50.
And this tells you all you need to know about slot
machines.
This is why he goes. Okay, I mean the Mustang, and I told this story when I got back. The minute she stuck her player's card in the machine, like it was not even 10 minutes later, a host came up to her to introduce himself and say, "Listen, Sally Deforrest, carte blanche, whatever you need. You guys need a limo ride somewhere? You got it. Here's a comp at Gordon Ramsay Steakhouse, or if you want to go to any of our other fine restaurant establishments, feel free to go there."
So I'm assuming you took advantage of this.
Oh, absolutely, man. We creamed these guys. Are you kidding me? This was on top of the free rooms, which they gladly accommodated at the last second for the Mustang, including several upgrades, to the point where, I mean, they stopped just short of sending a private jet for the Mustang to come back with her 10 times. But she hit him right away for like another 3,000. So that was great.
Okay, so the Mustang's on a roll.
Nah.
Well, no, she's on a Kaiser roll now with pickles and mayonnaise because, the next day it wasn't so favorable.
Oh, okay.
But she had bailed us out for the trip, including me getting clobbered in the race book.
Very nice.
So I would have to characterize it as came back with a few more dollars than we left with. So that was good.
There you go. And you got
to
clobber Gordon Ramsay. So
had a blast. I mean, I've fallen in love. I've re-fallen in love with Atlantic City, New Jersey.
I'm not sure that's a good thing.
That's a
it's a horrible thing. I'd be better off if I fell in love with Newark.
Can't you, get Mustang to hit some big slots at some better locales? Like, can't you go to Morocco and hit a slot, big slot?
Monte Carlo would be.
Right, Monte Carlo. There you go.
Yeah. I'll play some baccarat, and is it all Asians at the table in Monte Carlo also, or is that
yeah? That's how. By the way, I heard you mention that's how you know the James Bond movies were completely full of crap.
Yeah, it's
every time you went to a baccarat table, no Chinese people to be found.
No, all white guys, man. All very sophisticated, well-dressed
Eastern
ladies.
European arms dealer and his supermodel companions, and not some 5'2" guy who owned 3 Chinese restaurants.
Right, and just happens to be setting it in
monkey at the cards. That there's no baccarat table in the world where there's not a short Chinese restaurant owner screaming at the dealer.
Sending it in too. I mean, with both fists. I mean, they must be robbing people blind on the chicken chow mein because how do they have like 2,000 a hand? I bet. You're sitting there going, my net worth is on this guy's table. I mean, unbelievable. Let's get to the big board. I don't know what you're going to do, Professor, but it's time to roll the camera. And rolling around here, the big board this week with the Professor on a Degenerate Friday.
I think this week is kind of predictable, Defo. Because we, of course, have the big event going on.
Right.
That excites old white people like no other event in the history of and that is, of course, is up in Augusta, Georgia. And
There
that's
we go.
this week's
I think we
big
got
board.
that backwards. All right.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened.
We got a little reverse there. Let's see if we can read it backwards.
Let's
The big
see
board
if we
of.
turn the camera like this.
There you go.
No,
little
we're
production
getting
on
a
the
mirror
fly.
image there, and I don't know what's going on with that. It's
It's,
the big
it-
board of a tradition that needs to die.
Oh, okay. Well, that's very appropriate. I hope the pictures don't come out backwards. Also, that could be problematic
let's see
for the
what's
viewers.
going on. I think the writing's going to be backwards, and we're going to have to figure that out. 'cause
We're
I don't
number
know what
one
the
with
hell's going on.
dyslexic people, though.
Yes.
Professor. Number one, dyslexics. I mean, Jack just sent me the numbers.
Pictures are
They're
pictures.
sensational.
And let's start off with our introduction here, and that's to tell Jim Nance.
Oh, that looks.
I'm still not your friend, Jim Nance. Stop telling me, hello, friends. We're not friends, and we're never going to be. Obviously, we talked about Jim Nance. Human James Taylor song makes everything 3% worse. But that's not what is up with Jim Nance at the Masters. Jim Nance at the Masters has a special place, and that is part of my favorite Jim Nance story. And you being very familiar with CBS people, you may already know this. And that is Jim Nance, and he has self-described this. The first time I heard this, I thought this was bullshit. But he has said this story himself in an interview with Golf Digest. Jim Nance carries around a laminated picture of burnt toast with him because he likes breakfast so much and he likes his toast burnt. And he felt people who worked in diners and such were wasting his time by not burning his toast enough. So now he carries around a picture of burnt toast. So to harass the waitress, to show him what level of burnt toast he wants his toast to be burned to. And I can't think of any better analogy for the Masters.
Is that true or false? Is that another great?
That's
I
100%
heard him
true.
talk about it on Dan Patrick. I heard him talk about it.
Oh,
He
you did?
just-
Oh, wow.
He's
I
like
can't
worried
think
about
of
toast and
any
he wants his-
better analogy for the Masters than a grumpy old white man yelling at some poor diner waitress about the burntness of his goddamn toast. If that doesn't sum up Augusta, Georgia, and the Masters in one story, I don't know what does. So that's our perfect introduction to Augusta, Georgia, and the Augusta National Golf Club. And that brings us to number 5. Number 5 thing with the Masters, old white balls. I don't know about you, Defo, but when I think of a good time, a go time to have recreation, I don't think of a sausage fest full of 75-year-old dudes. I'm reading Golf Digest. I'm reading a breakdown of what it's be like to be inside of the Masters. They say the one tradition nobody questions, it's very frowned upon, to have the lights on after midnight. And that, in fact, for the New Year's Eve party, they do the countdown at 10:30. They go on to say that while the Masters has fine dining, it's very popular. Options like finger sandwiches with egg salad and drinks like Brandy Alexander's. So we've got Brandy Alexander's, finger sandwiches, and a finger egg salad sandwiches, rather, and bedtime at 10:30. All you have to do is add in a pot of Senka and a dish of York peppermint patties. And being a member at Augusta is like being a member of my grandmother's living room in 1979. And on top of it, they go on to say the tradition of late nights does sometimes get broken when the chairmen are playing games of bridge or gin rummy. Could you pick two old people games than bridge or gin rummy? What, Pinochle and Canasta were two a little bit me, and they were right age range.
Mahjong. Yeah,
Does
Mahjong.
anybody under 60 have ever played those games? Like talk about two old people games who have died.
Yeah.
Like I can't
Yeah,
imagine.
give me a blackjack table and let's shoot some crap.
Pinochle. Where do you play Pinochle?
I mean, they could do anything they want there. I mean, it's not like the troopers are going to show up and tell, Hootie and the boys to shut it down. Why don't they have a casino in Butler Cabin? That would be appropriate.
Because this is their idea of fun, is eating egg salad sandwiches and drinking Brandy Alexander's with no chicks around over games of gin rummy.
With no chicks around.
I honestly, I get
Yeah, that is pretty
sometimes,
sad.
we've talked about women can weaken the legs, women can take away from your gambling.
Yeah.
But I don't want to dedicate an entire weekend to have no chicks and nothing but old dudes around drinking Brandy Alexander's. I can't anything. That's my idea of hell.
Old white balls.
Old
That's
white
something
balls
they're hitting up
for-
for the non-dyslexic out there. All right, that was number 5.
And let's go to number 4. Again, it's going to be backwards. And that's old money and racism. If anything symbolizes Augusta National, it's the fact that there is an armed gate with a security guard who, even though he isn't a cop, dresses like Jackie Gleason in the Smokey and the Bandit movies. So ridiculous. And you know, he's just there to keep anybody who's not a 70-year-old white guy as far away from the property.
You'd be questioning everybody of color, that's for sure.
Forget that if you have a different skin color, you can't get in. You can't get in if your father didn't make money with Bobby Jones and Coca-Cola in the 1920s. You can't get in if your family didn't own some slaves.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, jeez.
These people kept Bill Gates out for 30 years, 28 of which he was the richest man in the world.
Wow.
They're like, oh, well, we have to make sure that Microsoft money isn't going to go away before we'll let you into Augusta National.
Exactly.
Tom Watson has won the damn thing like 3 times. He can't get in.
He's too young.
Again, the only people who have ever won the tournament and been members, Arnold Palmer and Jack Nicklaus, and you know very well they questioned both of those for a couple of decades before they let them in. Again, it's not just the racism. It's not just the sex. I mean, look, if you're black or Latino, you can make as much money as you want. You can combine all your money and give it to Michael Jordan, and Michael Jordan's still not getting it.
That's true, yeah. How come he hasn't applied, right?
It's honestly that they would turn the Kennedys down because they're a little too ethnic with the Catholicism.
Well, was Hootie Johnson at one point wearing a cone-shaped sheet on his head at one of the press conferences?
Does it matter? The guy's name was Hootie, and he referred to it as a tournament for like 25. And then he got really mad when women started wanting to get in.
Yeah, oh no, that upset him greatly. I mean, Martha Burke still to this day is screaming somewhere in a Russian prison. I mean, they made sure they got rid of her. She's with Navalny, screaming anti-Putin material.
Oh,
all right, that's number 4. Number 3 on a big board.
Number 3 is one of the signatures of the Masters, and it's something I don't really hate, but it's something I don't really understand, and that is, why are we making such a big deal out of goddamn pimento cheese sandwiches?
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
We'll have to
and
ask
I
Mayo
happen
that.
to like pimento cheese. I think it's a little bit better as a crudité. I like it in some grits. But if you're going to be in the middle of Georgia, where it's hot as hell in April, where it's like 95 degrees outside in the shade, and you're walking this golf course that's full of hills up and down, do you really want to eat something that's like 95% a combination of cheese and mayonnaise? Like, I don't realize. Like, are you trying
on
to make
white
people
bread,
sick?
no less?
Are you trying to make people sick to their stomach? Is there a vomitorium somewhere that I don't know about?
Trough.
I don't get it. I don't get how this becomes the number one thing that people are into when it comes to this cause. I got to go to. This is honestly a sign in your life, because you'll go out this weekend and all these sort of bitter old white guys who don't ever have fun will be out of the bars enjoying the Masters and saying stuff like, it's on my bucket list to go to Augusta National for the Masters and walk the course and have a pimento cheese sandwich. When you have thoughts like that about how it might be a good idea to spend $10,000 to go to Augusta for the Masters and walk the course, that's a sign that the good times in your life are over. That's a sign that you have reached the age where it's all what erectile dysfunction drug is going to work best for me, and thinking
various
too much
methods
about
of how to
yard.
replace your hair. Yeah,
Whether your yard looks good or the neighbor's yard. That goddamn neighbor is ruining the neighborhood with his yard. Have you seen his yard? Is he ever going to cut his yard? I think that's the reason they like the Masters so much, is because they're there having vaguely sexual fantasies about all the grass and flowers. They're like,
that
honey,
doesn't look particularly appetizing. Yeah,
honey, the Masters is on. Give me a pimento cheese sandwich and my Cialis.
let's go for a little roll in the hay, man.
I'm going out, dear. Why do you want me to bring my Cialis? Because they're showing the grass and flowers. Oh, God. Look at the dogwood. Oh, the magnolias. Oh,
my God.
Basically, when you reach that point in your life, when you're that into the Masters, and you'll see a lot of them out of town this year, just give up. Stay home. Nothing good's going to happen for you anymore. And this
People
next
are
one,
commenting. They're saying that this segment has gone off the edge, where it started, of course. So we're up to number 2.
That was
This next one-
you're going to rip our guy Gary Player? Are you kidding me?
maybe this is generational because I grew up if you saw a South African accent in the movies, you just met the bad guy. Like Lethal Weapon 2, the guy's like, I have all the Krugerrands and diplomatic immunity. So Mel Gibson shoots him in the face because that's what you're supposed to do with South Africans.
Oh, Jesus.
Holy Jerry Coetzee.
But
all right.
every
What about
year,
this one?
starting with Gary Player back in the 50s and 60s, up through Ernie Els and Nick Price, and now guys like Charles Schwartzel. Man, there's a lot of Americans who get excited about white South Africans all of a sudden. And I don't think it's because we have that much in common with white South Africans, other than maybe opinions about people of certain skin color. Because you meet South Africans, we're not really into the same sports. Golf is like number 6 with South Africans. It goes rugby, and then legless sprinting, and then soccer, and then like bird hunting, and then golf.
Yeah.
So we don't really share a lot in common with these people. They got kind of that weird accent to go along. Really, it's pretty much just gold coins and racist opinions. And somehow every year at the Masters, a real passion for South Africans break out. And I can only guess why a certain group of Americans are that much into these South African players.
Player's a good guy, though, man. We had a chance to meet him, and he couldn't be any classier. So,
yeah, I mean,
we recuse ourselves from any of the negativity
he only
reflected
kept black
on Gary
people from
Player.
getting the vote for 30 years, as opposed to
I
family
don't know that he
generation
was
after generation.
responsible for apartheid there. All right, that's
I
number
don't
2.
remember
So,
him ever saying much against it, though.
No, but he wasn't doing it.
he's playing golf. I mean, it's like John Rocker making comments. So who
I
cares? Right?
honestly-
He's a relief pitcher.
Honestly, I think it's just the accent because, as the great Jim Jeffries says, the South African accent is very easy to do and to imagine, which is you just have to picture an Australian accent and a guy with an Australian accent kicking a black guy while he's on the ground, and you have the South African accent.
Let's move on.
Oh, that was
to number 1.
And our number 1 thing, Butler Cabin, Ike's Pond,
everything.
Flowering Dogwood, Crabapple Grove. Like everything at this stupid course has a stupid name that I'm supposed to memorize in order to watch this thing. You know the history of Ray's Creek? You know why it's called Ray's Creek? You think of people like Ray Floyd or some guy named Ray who was a member. No, it's some dude who built a creek in the 1800s to keep Indian attacks away from Savannah. Augusta. Keep Indian attacks out of town. It's been around for 100 years. I'm supposed to know the name of the guy, which the creek's only like 4 feet long. Who the hell is that keeping out? Because certainly didn't stop Sherman and the Union Army from getting to Augusta. Why the hell do I have to know all the names of these stupid cabins and creeks and holes? And they name everything. Is there a porta potty named after Tiger Woods somewhere?
Yes.
Probably.
They all are.
Okay, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what has like Sergio Garcia has like a plant somewhere. I mean, everybody who's ever done anything at Augusta National has a goddamn name somewhere on including the commissioner Cliff, whatever his name is, who shot himself on the 16th green, and they didn't name the green after him. They named a little creek next to him after a pond. I would think, if you're the commissioner of the place for like 40 years and you kill yourself on the green, they'd name the green after you. Maybe that's just me.
It is true. It's like you're on Sesame Street or something.
Honestly, what has Hootie gotten? Is there a water fountain somewhere that's the Hootie Memorial Water Fountain?
No, there's a burning cross somewhere at the beginning of Magnolia Lane.
And that, Defo, is our
That's
big
it,
horn of a tradition that needs to die.
Applause from all in the audience here. A lot of
It was
comments coming up on the board,
Except
Professor. Outstanding.
except for those who are rooting for South Africans, who are apparently a little touchy about the subject.
I need everybody to fall apart that's on the leaderboard right now, and all of my guys to somehow miraculously rebound from the grave.
Who do you have?
You know what? I have what? I have Spieth. You know, I
Okay.
love Spieth after he jobbed you, completely hosed you with one of
Yeah.
the bogus rulings of all time in any sport. When they
In the
let him
US
drop,
Open, yeah.
remember he was on like one of those trash things.
Well, they let
You
him
know,
wait for 45 minutes while they moved 3 TV towers and a couple of fence.
and then drop in the middle of the fairway while
Yeah.
your guy Kuchar was being absolutely hosed, with 2 penalty strokes for looking at his ball cross-eyed.
Yes.
I mean, it was great. I have him. I have Justin Thomas. He was disappointing yesterday. Big John Rahm. Always,
he's like all
anytime
the
I
favorites.
pick him, he falls apart. I picked all of the pigs in this thing. I mean, I really did. Paul Casey, who withdrew, so that dropped me down to DeChambeau, who was DeChambles yesterday. So that didn't work out too favorably. But our man, John Kajemi, who's our golf analyst, I put in an entry for John Lubie and me. And he has 3 guys in the top 10, but he also is saddled with some dead weight like I am. So... but at least he had 3 guys that combined for 9 under, so that would have to be significant, right?
I've got Scheffler too, so I'm definitely on that bandwagon. So we'll see.
Yeah. I'll root for Scotty Scheffler with you because I want to kill myself for not taking him. That's right. I forget what stiff I took in his place, but
Probably John Rahm.
Yeah, I'm sure the guy's 5 over. Yeah, it was Rahm because he would have been on that list with Scheffler. That's for sure. All right, Professor, thanks. Great job. And once again, people paying homage to the brilliance of the segment. We appreciate it. A tradition that needs to die. The big board for today with the Professor.
Yeah, we're going to have to figure out, Lubie and I'll get together and make sure people can read it who...
Yeah, it wasn't backwards out there.
Reading
Greg Louganis actually weighed in and said he thought it was brilliant. Oh, no, he's going to come slap me now. What are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. God.
No, I'm a big Louganis fan. All right. Thanks, Professor. We'll talk to you again next week. The Professor, ladies and gentlemen, here on the Defo Show. The Gambling Gourmet, Mike Mayo, coming up. He's got the big bet, and all of a sudden, he's emboldened, Lubie. Have you noticed this? Emboldened, this man.
Which is interesting because the Panthers were still playing well. Like what the Panthers did was impressive, not scary. And the thing is, Knight came in and only allowed a goal in each of those games. So even if Broski's an issue, okay, then go to Knight. Like Knight's been a monster.
But you don't want to find that out in the middle of being down 3-0 in the first game of the playoffs. Yeah.
No,
and Ovechkin has the puck, and he sees this guy that all of a sudden looks like a circus clown in there. Hey, Sergey, wake up!
I don't know.
I don't mind shelling out. I'll be so upset if we lose this bet. I really will. Anyway, we'll have the Gambling Gourmet gathering some support for his insanity. And he's going to join us here in just a moment on the Defo Show. Mike Lubitz, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, great place to go. And we have to get the Gambling Gourmet down there, man. He would love this place. You know what? Having hung out with Mayo now for a while, he tries to pretend he's this sophisticate with the palate there and the pate foie gras and all of that on, caraway seed crackers, whatever it is. And the truth is he would just wants to eat good food, man. And that's what they have at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. And you can go anywhere. I mean, you can go. That plate of nachos was insane. Remember that, Lubie? That came out there, and you're not easily satisfied. You're usually looking at the thing with, a fisheye going, where's the meat? Where's the beef?
I always bitch about it. There's nothing to bitch about. Like, it was a lot of food and well distributed. They really took care with that and everything else they do.
I had heard about the Italian fisherman pizza, and I'm thinking, well, how good could this be? And then it came out. I was like, wait a minute, man, who ordered like the seafood platter? And it was sensational. I mean, the way they put this thing together, they're really very innovative there. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. All of the food is great. Even if you just want like a grilled mahi sandwich, comes out fresh as a daisy. Absolutely fantastic. Drinks are on the money, all reasonably priced. Larry Calvano, St. Thomas Aquinas guy, he's the owner. And in conjunction with Jimmy Johnson, they've just developed the best vibe that you will find anywhere in the Florida Keys. And it's easy to get to, too, because even from here, Lubie, you're talking about jogging maybe an hour and a hook. 1 on a hook, and we're down there. Why don't we go today for lunch, huh? We'll take Mayo.
I would. The place is great.
All right. No, fantastic. Because, and if you're from out of town, out of the area here, and want to visit the Florida Keys, what a great place. And check out the accommodations. They are exquisite at jimmyjohnsonsbigchill.com. But the food, the drink, the atmosphere, and the location, just absolutely sensational. Great place to relax. Music all day, Saturday and Sunday. I mean, they bring in all kinds of great bands. And then, like the owner himself is out there playing in the grand finale there as the sun is setting over the bay. It's just absolutely beautiful. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, mile marker 104, the Overseas Highway in Key Largo. Gambling Gourmet coming up next, and we'll try to defend his honor as he believes the Panthers will be knocked out in the first round of the playoffs and that their goaltending is falling apart at the seams, Lubie. At the seams. All of a sudden, this guy is a human sieve. It's incredible. Back with Mike Mayo in a moment. Now that.
The time.
It's 8:31.
Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. You're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. Good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset keys. It's simply the spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Any time of year, things can have business, and the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Before you call your insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752.
Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet.
Vegas,
a lot of very expensive propositions.
Yeah, and but at the end of the day, you know you're going to be blowing through cash, and if you actually end up hitting and breaking even, it's the best feeling in the world. Right?
What do you consider even? I mean, how much in the negative do you consider breaking even? Like, if you lost less than 500, do you come back and report that you broke even?
Let's see. For Vegas,
I don't like to admit defeat in gambling, even though obviously
no gambler does.
Buried my entire life. Yeah.
But no, I mean, if you can get your airfare on points and then have some sort of deal with your comps for a room that's a little cheap, if you get out for a full Vegas trip for under $1,000, that's breaking even.
I would go with that. Yeah, no, and especially if you can still afford In-N-Out Burger for the plane ride back. It's especially good to be at the airport.
I gotta say,
you reach with a lot of envy.
The best way to kick off your day is with Defo plus Lubie. We now return to the Defo Show.
Welcome back to the show, the Defo Show here on Ion Channel, and you can Google the Defo Show, get the complete archives, including what has now become a stockpile of brilliant big board segments by the professor. I'm Jeff Deforrest. He's Mike Lubitz. That's the Gambling Gourmet, Mike Mayo, and he has been the source of much of our material this week with various guests that we've had on the program, including your former contemporary at the South Florida Sun-Sentinel, Michael, and that was the great Dave Hyde. He weighed in. He would like to come eat on your ticket at Anthony's Runway 84, if indeed you were on the losing end of that particular bet. But you were immersed in Tiger Mania yesterday, Mike Mayo.
Well, first of all, good morning, Lubie.
Yes.
Good morning, Defo. And I hear every time that you have another guest, you're inviting them along. And I'm saying that, this bet, win, lose, or draw for either of us, we're going to need to rent the Saratoga Stable school bus to get everybody to Runway 84. And we're going to have ourselves a grand old time. And later on today on the Lunchbox, we're going to get Anthony Bruno on the Anthony and Anthony's Runway 84. We're going to get his view on the bet and see what he thinks about the Panthers' chances. But, yeah, yesterday, this week, it's Tiger Mania, and I've got my Masters cap. And the
nice.
professor, it was a uneven performance today. I do give him big props for ripping on you and Sally for taking the bait and going up to AC. And, you were deluded into thinking, maybe only 300, 400 jackpot winners. Maybe we got a shot at it. And then you go there and you see steel drums filled like
one lady had 33
10,000
entries.
Right.
One lady had
10,000
33
entries. And, but, I'm glad that Sally hit. And then the professor, I'm still dizzy from his big board because it was all inverted. And it's just like I needed a gummy to see things properly. But
strangely, I found it easy to read.
That makes a lot of sense to me.
Really weird. Yeah, I don't know. All of a sudden, it was like it became clear to me what he was saying.
In his honor, I've got my Masters hat on, which he'd be happy to know that with the purchase of 10 pimento cheese sandwiches, it comes
You
with
get
a
the
free
hat?
Yeah, exactly.
Did they punch a ticket? But after 10 pimento cheese sandwiches, you would not need a hat. You would need a body bag, don't you think?
But
exactly.
we don't want to abide that kind of racist, misogynist place. So I'm going to go NASCAR today and keep rotating my hats as we do the show. And of course, today, Shenanigans, one of our great sponsors there. So Pat Utter, good place to stop in and watch all the playoff action upcoming. So we've got Shenanigans, and I am as giddy as a little schoolgirl today, Defo, because what do we have here today?
Keeneland.
It's opening day of beautiful Keeneland Racecourse. And, I've got good news. I got a hall pass today. The lovely ex-Mrs. Mayo is away this weekend, and my daughter, who I usually have to pick up from school, she's going to be going home with a friend this afternoon, and I'm going to be able to be out there at your favorite pari-mutuel facility for the opening day of Keeneland action, which I am super excited about because not only the first race, unlike Gulfstream Park, we don't want to rag on Gulfstream too bad because we do like them and we're trying to get them on the hook for some things. But, instead of a $10,000 claiming race to open the nice card like they did last Saturday, not that I'm bitter because I did hit a lot of races last weekend, and that's why I've got pep in my step and I've got money in the bank and it's all good. But Keeneland opens up today with the first 2-year-old baby race, I think, of the year anywhere in North America. 4.5 panels, 4 and a hook. And Wesley Ward, who, just dominates, has 2. And then you got to play the easy angle on that is always bet the higher price of the uncoupled entry of Wesley Ward, which I'll be doing in that first race, but also use the box of Wesley Ward runners. It'll pay about $7, but that's okay. And then the fourth race today, Defo, the ultimate hunch bet for a Jew from Brooklyn like us, Hot Pastrami.
Hot Pastrami.
The name of the horse. Yeah. He looks like a cheap claiming pig, and he's ridden by a jockey I've never heard of and a trainer who hasn't won since last Sukkot. But I don't care. I am going to be plunging double-fisted on Hot Pastrami, and we're going to be watching that together, my friend. That's going to be great.
Okay. No, it's always great. And I actually got an invite like 5 in the morning. My phone, I forgot to mute the thing out. And sure enough, I get a text message from a friend of mine who's got a free place to stay in Lexington, but wants me to go there next Friday with him. So,
why not?
Yeah, you know what? Obviously, it's under consideration here.
It's Good Friday. That would be a great Friday. Yeah, I mean, why not? Easter Sunday.
If the weather's great, I mean, you've been there, right?
Oh yeah, it's great. It's like a mecca for horse players because it's
beautiful,
so pure. Yeah. And it was so pure that for a while there, they didn't even have a track announcer. They just let the horses run.
That I don't care for. I'm a big fan of track announcers.
Well, no, they finally hired one about 20 years.
He's very
ago.
good too.
Becker.
He's very good.
Kurt Becker is good, yeah. But no, I can see this now. You're going to go up there for Good Friday, and like Jesus, you're just going to get crucified on Friday, but you'll have the resurrection on Easter Sunday. You'll rise from the dead and hit like some late pick 5 or something.
That's my MO. I've been up there several times. I want to say 3 or 4, and usually for like a 3 or 4 day plunging stay. Starting on a Thursday, getting right to the track. The plane flights are very convenient, even though you do have to take your life in your hands with Allegiant Airlines, which insiders say, a lot of the things that came out on that CBS piece, 60 Minutes, multiply that by like a fear factor of like 2 dozen. And
it's
convenient.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
and
my ex, Michelle, the lovely and talented Michelle, she had to go visit some family up in Columbus, Ohio. She said she took Allegiant last night, and she made it, so she was happy.
oh,
It was
okay.
2 hours late, and, I think they only had to replace one part before takeoff, but that's
Sometimes
okay.
you'll see a guy like carrying like a wing out to on the tarmac there, and you're like, where's that wing going, man? I mean, is that going in the cargo department? And they're
Uh,
literally like attaching it as the plane is taking off. But no, it's really it's kind of an odd way to describe it, but it's a lovely scene there, and I like it. I dig it. The kids and the crowd there, they really get into it. It's a big staple of what they have going on in the city of Lexington, and they all come out like very well dressed. I mean, it's real throwback type of stuff.
oh,
So,
yeah,
very enjoyable scene. But when it's rainy and a little schmutzy out there, and maybe a little cold, not so great if you're not, in some luxury suite, or as we were very fortunate to be accommodated in the green room, which is very nice. And now that's where you'll get some burgoo, Gambling Gourmet.
Ha!
Would you try it? Lexington, Kentucky.
Let's
Go
have
into a restaurant and say, I mean, do you ask what kind of burgoo you have tonight? I mean, or is it just like I'll have the burgoo and you accept whatever rat meat that they happen to put inside this thing?
Yeah, I am a big proponent of when in Rome, do as the Romans. So,
Yeah.
I would be polite and order the burgoo and maybe put a nose clip on my nose to kill my taste buds, but and probably drink 4 or 5 bourbons beforehand. So that would definitely dull the pain. But yeah, I'm not a big burgoo fan. Hot browns I like though. Do you like hot browns?
Hot browns. Now, what's involved in hot browns?
I don't know, but shockingly,
Well, what does it
not,
look like? I mean, give us a
shockingly not
description.
Skyline chili, but
Yeah.
it's I think it's like kind of an open faced sandwich that they pour some gravy, like a turkey melt or something
Oh,
like
yeah.
that. The turkey with melted Swiss cheese and then some brown gravy. I could be making that all up. I'm gonna have to go to the Google machine, but something like that. So
Yeah, not
anyway,
interested in any kind of roadkill. Now, can you get burgoo anywhere in South Florida? Is there a place that is oriented towards serving food that would be from the Kentucky area? You don't see very many restaurants that are Kentucky themed, do you?
there's a reason for that, Defo.
Mint julep. Yeah, that's for sure.
It's like like come try the finest in the
Their food sucks. Now
Russian.
that you mention it, yeah. I mean, there are some good restaurants there. I would say for sure that and you always see that one advertised on TVG. What is it, Tony's, where you have to
Yeah,
walk through the kitchen like
there's
you're in
some
Goodfellas?
there's some steakhouses there.
Yeah.
So all right. Anyway, I was right. Yeah, the hot brown is turkey with a white cheesy sauce and gravy, and sometimes people put bacon on it. Bobby Flay's
That sounds good.
version calls for bacon. So it's kind of like a melted open face turkey sandwich with gravy and sometimes bacon. So yeah, it's I guess that's acceptable.
We
I
had
think
Flay on a radio show one day. I was broadcasting there on the backside of Churchill Downs, and Bobby Flay came on, and he was kind of an advocate of burgoo, although he did admit that like it could be possum or squirrel, even in his
well, that's
version of it. And it's hard to imagine a guy of his caliber of celebrity chefdom, actually throwing like a dead possum into a pot.
That's for the true Kentucky aficionado. You have to go with the roadkill.
Now
Hat
look at you,
change.
Mr. Baseball. Okay,
Yeah,
very
that's
good.
it. We've got we've got the Marlins opening the season. I have no idea what they did because I was paying attention to Tiger
Today, they
Woods and
start
only
today.
Tiger Woods.
They
Oh,
played
good. Well, that would explain why I didn't hear
Yeah.
about the win or
I
loss.
believe they're in
They-
San Francisco, I want to
yeah.
say.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, that's a great place to be, and I leave my heart and wallet in San Francisco and wine country because I love
Yeah.
going there. And congratulations to the Miami Heat. They locked up the #1 seed last night, right? So they
Yeah.
have home court advantage in the playoffs. I am not throwing any aspersions or doubts on the Heat. They have a winning culture. They know what they're doing. They seem to have gone through their little bumpy patch and smooth things over, the whole Spoelstra versus Jimmy Butler versus Udonis drama. And they look poised for a nice playoff run. A lot of people are predicting them to come out of the East. But that brings me to my other team, which
Let me see
All right,
if
now
I
you were
can
just
spell it.
wearing a Marlins hat. Are you not
Yes.
able to see your own hats?
here we
He
go.
did it on purpose. The Marlins on purpose. Opening day, go for the Marlins.
Yeah.
And the
All right.
Heat
And
are #1.
now we've got
Now he's working.
my
to-
team is the New York Rangers, and of
Oh,
course
shit.
their '94 Stanley Cup
Wow.
championship. And the
Only Gerard
Rangers,
Gallant. You have him
I,
going all the way?
I don't know, but I'm going to root for them because I was born a Rangers fan. I was a diehard, degenerate in the blue section of Madison Square Garden. So I guess now the reality can take forth is that the reason I'm going against the Panthers because I'm still a Rangers fan, and the Panthers, let's face it, they're a bunch of losers. They haven't won a playoff round. And
there you go, man. I mean, we're going to put this up in the locker room
he's
here,
going hard,
the dressing room.
I love that he's going
Fuel
all
some inspiration there off the
know,
cynical
look,
Mayo.
anybody could win these meaningless regular season games, but when it comes time for the playoffs, which is when the men really, the cream rises to the top and the manly men grow beards, usually the playoff beards of the Panthers last about like what I have now, a 3-day stubble because they're out the door and on the golf course. And,
not exactly ZZ Top is what you're saying.
No. So let's see. Look, I'm strictly a cynical pessimist and saying, show me. I hope they prove me wrong and they finally have that boat parade down the New River that Vinny Viola and Doug Sifu, which ends with FU, Doug Sifu. I hope they are able to have their little
This is personal,
parade.
though, Mayo. You should establish that. This is personal, and it goes back to a Twitter war with Doug Sifu, the
years ago.
CEO of the Panthers, who had some unflattering things to say about your character.
You could assault my ideas, and I know you assault my ideas every day, or Defo. That's fine, but don't insult me personally and just say I'm not entitled to have an opinion just because I'm that I've never run a business or written a check for another employee. Which nowadays, actually, I do write checks to other people. So, and I have one for you, my friend. So, Doug Sifu,
bring it to the track today. I'm going to need it. And, in fact, if you could meet me at my bank, that would be even better because then I might be able to, hide a few hundred from the
about a new sponsor, and that's literally how he describes it. Oh, that's another 100 I can lose.
Yeah. All right, now we come to the eating portion of the segment. I know how much Defo and Lubie like when
what do you got?
I've got
a cheese sandwich,
a Grandpa's everything bagel with. I've got a choice of the scallion cream cheese or the lox, the smoked salmon.
I love
lox spread.
What does this have to do with the Masters here?
Nothing.
Protesting there are no Jews in the Masters or as members of the Augusta National Country Club?
Believe it or not, there's an uncanny resemblance between like cream cheese and pimento cheese in that they both will kill you and clog your arteries. Yeah. So here we go.
All
right, very good. All right. So, and the reason for this is what? Because you were playing Dr. Fauci earlier in the week? And you thought that you would eat a bad batch of oysters, which turned out to be a totally bogus theory. I love that. Is that you had come to the conclusion, the medical conclusion, Mike Mayo, that this bad batch of oysters had caused you to have an ill-feeling stomach, almost to the point of collapse for a week.
It wasn't an ill-feeling stomach. This was a major purge of Skyline chili proportions, my friend, where I was in bed for 3 days.
I tried to pin it on that. Remember that?
Yeah, weekly.
It was a stomach bug / norovirus. That the weird part was that I came down with it 24 hours after eating oysters from British Columbia, which has been pinpointed as a source of some of this norovirus. But and the other thing that was corroborating evidence was my friend Stephen Dickstein, who we were at the same meal and we ate the same oysters, and he also got sick the next day, and he had the same exact thing for the whole week.
There you have it. Yeah.
So we thought that was kind of strong indication that it might have been from the oysters. But again, the restaurant, I got in touch with them. The chef was nice enough to call me back. He did some contact tracing. He called the purveyor, and the tags of where the oysters came from in British Columbia supposedly were not the same ones that were identified by Dr. Fauci and the CDC and the FDA. And
so it's all BS, your whole theory.
Well, I mean, it's who knows. Maybe those other oysters.
What were you and Dickstein doing besides eating oysters? I mean, they were both contract the same bizarre and very rare stomach ailment.
We shook hands with strangers. That's the problem these days. And
were you wearing a mask? I mean, what the hell?
No, masks are gone. So that's it. All right, we're up to the wine portion of the day from.
Okay,
Mayo,
what do you have going there?
Mayo Family Winery in Sonoma, which is a great place that if I was covering the Marlins, I would go. I wish. No, it's totally unrelated. It's like same thing as the Mayo Clinic. I have no piece of the action at the Mayo Clinic.
Although you should check in sometime soon. I believe. Get those numbers back in order.
Mayo Family Winery,
Yeah.
very good red wines. That not that you would ever taste that, but they have a very good Zinfandel.
Don't need a red wine. I don't want to feel like you with the norovirus or whatever that was, a bogus patch of oysters that you blame the poor chef had to go
I
do
wasn't
research.
blaming anybody. There were no lawsuits involved. I didn't want any compensation. I know when you eat raw seafood, it's right there on the menu. It carries a risk. I took the risk. I paid a dear price, but it was a very effective diet. I'm very happy about that.
It doesn't work. That doesn't work, Michael, because you'll put that right back on as soon as you go back to look. You're stuffing your face with a bagel and a schmear on the show. You can't even wait to get off the show.
Wait to get off air.
So how much are you going to eat after that? I mean, if you have to start now.
Oh, what's that? I can't hear you. I'm too busy chomping on a bagel.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, so I want to ask something. All right. At least
ahead.
I'm into the Heat, and you brought up the Marlins, and I'm actually excited about the Marlins, even though no one's talking about them because the NL East is ridiculous. I think the Marlins actually are going to have a nice year. Down deep, do you really think the Panthers won't do anything, or you just personally can't allow yourself?
I'm totally playing contrarian on TV and radio, and because
they played really well. Even those games.
They look like they have all the ingredients for a deep run. But then there's that X factor, and the X factor is they're a losing team, a losing organization, a bunch of losers that do nothing but lose when it counts. So until they turn that tide, I'm going to be the contrarian. But no, from a completely logical, on paper point of view, this team should go deep. This team can contend for a Stanley Cup. But hockey games aren't played on paper, my friends. They're played on ice, and ice melts. Just like that they melt as much as the weak and just cowardly hearts of the Florida Panthers.
Are you going to try to work some kind of freebie with Bruno when he's on the show later today? Anthony Bruno, the owner of this place that we're going, which is fantastic, and everybody's looking forward to it. Now, my contingency is that none of the people that I invited, if I lose the bet, they're on their own. I mean, and we have kind of implied to them that if they do come and you lose the bet, that they're on your ticket. And I know you shot that down through your agent, Jim Sarney, who thought that he didn't want to see you get financially destroyed by this. I don't know how strong the buyout was, with the Sun Sentinel, but it can't be enough to support this like a year later.
There's two things I'm willing to do. First of all, the muscles are on me. But
because they're free, man. They bring them on anyway.
Runway 84 is known for their complimentary mussels and red sauce. And the other thing is...
what brought that about, by the way? Did you ever ask Anthony about that? Because that's kind of a cool thing, right?
Sounds like a fine question for you to ask Mr. Bruno.
I'm going to toss it out there because that's a curious point. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. And then the other thing is if we do it on the Thursday meatball martini night, then the meatballs will be on me because when you go in the bar there, they usually pass around the trays of the complimentary meatballs.
Oh, yeah. Those are great, man.
And
great.
I can't do it.
So it's going to be it's going to be fun. And Anthony was just concerned about, because the place is closing for major renovations on Mother's Day.
Yeah.
And the first round of the playoffs doesn't start till May 2nd. He's like, you're going to get in there before it closes. I think I've mapped it out that even if it goes,
a sweep. Yeah.
Even if it goes 7 games, I think it will be done before Mother's Day. And if not, we'll just go to Andy's Live Fire Grill, and it's just as expensive there. It's just not as much.
I was thinking Prime 112 if you lose.
That's got to be an Anthony.
I've never even been there, but I know it's pricey. So, we want to break you on this one.
True. It's got to be Anthony.
He who plays contrarian should suffer the consequences of being dead wrong. You did receive a massive amount of support from various experts. What do you got here?
Hat switch.
Oh, Cafe Seville. Where are you going, man?
Oh, this is the Russian hat, the fur hat that I traded a pack of Marlboro cigarettes for in Moscow, probably with a KGB agent back in 1986.
Yeah,
and
surprised you didn't end up in jail.
And well, yeah, I probably should have, or maybe I did, and I don't even remember it. But and this, I'm going to have to burn this hat because we are obviously opposed to all things Russian now. They're dirty, no good, invading, civilian slaughtering country. And with my heart and everything belongs to the people of Ukraine. So I will burn this hat immediately after the show.
Oh, I thought you were going to light it on fire right now. That would be kind of
right
cool.
now.
That would be good.
Yeah.
That would
I mean, I know you have limited range here if you're going to stay on the show, but you could set that thing on fire right in front of you and let it happen. Here's a strange thing that's happening, though, and I don't know how I feel about this because You have any number of outstanding Russian tennis players that are competing here in the States, including they have a tournament.
And some
I've been
very
watching.
erratic Russian goalies, might I remind you.
Well, and I was going to say that Bobrovsky of late, I don't know if you remember the scenes in the gym when Joe Pesci was training De Niro in Raging Bull, and he would put the little chest protector on, and they would be sparring. And let's say, face it, there were a lot of holes in Pesci's game at that point. As Lamana supposedly would hit him in the stomach there, and even with the chest protector on, he would go flying into the turnbuckle. That's how Bobrovsky has been looking, like Pesci in those scenes.
Well,
like a little awkward in there. There's no question about that.
Yeah, if Sergei Bobrovsky was a horse, he'd be un ojo, the horse with one eye. So,
One eye.
hopefully he'll be able to be a little bit sharper vision. And speaking of, can we talk about these three big races tomorrow a little bit? Because
sure.
Besides being the opening day of Keeneland today, I mean, tomorrow is kind of the last major stepping stone races to the Kentucky Derby, which of course is the first Saturday in May. So we're 4 weeks away from that. And then tomorrow we've got three big stakes races. In Aqueduct, we have the Wood Memorial, which hasn't produced many Derby winners lately.
One of my favorites, though, a real staple in a New York race.
Well, it's a really good wide open race. And there's a horse named Morello. I think it might be named for Tom Morello, who's that bassist was in Rage Against the Machine, a guitar player.
Could have been Joe Morello, the drummer, and Dave Brubeck quintet there.
It could be, but Tom Morello, it was the guitarist. He's one of the best guitarists, rock guitarists. Yeah. But whether it's named after either one of those gentlemen, it's a horse that's been getting some buzz because he's undefeated. But I'm going with early voting. That's kind of my the horse that I kind of like for the Derby. Chad Brown sends out early voting in the Wood Memorial, and again, all the horses that finished behind him came back to kind of win, including Un Ojo at odds of like 1,000,000 to 1 in the Rebel Stakes. And Un Ojo didn't have a good performance in the Arkansas Derby, but I don't know. I like early voting in the Wood, and then of course we've got the Bluegrass Stakes out at Keeneland tomorrow, and that also boasts a full and competitive field. And we're looking at the ninth race on the card, 5:10 p.m. tomorrow. And again, Chad Brown has a kind of hyped horse named Zandon. I don't know if I think I'm going against Zandon. I kind of like. Again, I'm going with Flo the jockey, Florent Giroux, who won the Arkansas Derby last week aboard Cyberknife. He's on a horse named Black Adder, who's coming out of California races and who was previously trained by one cheating Bob Baffert. But now, in order to qualify for the Derby and get the points, he's been the training duties are now handled by Rudolph Brissett. So again, they can do this late switcheroo, change barns, change trainers, and now Black Adder will be eligible to qualify for points and run in the Kentucky Derby if he performs well tomorrow, which I think he'll do. And even though he's 20 to 1 in the morning line, I'm going to take a flyer on a long shot. I kind of like also Volcanic from Mark Casse, also listed at 20 to 1. And then the Pletcher has something in there. But I'm going to go swing for the fences in Kentucky tomorrow with Volcanic and Black Adder at both 20 to 1 morning lines. So that's something to be excited about.
You hit that and put some money away in a cookie jar there, and that'll bail you out whenever we go to Runway.
And then we can just invite more and more people, and we'll rent that school.
There'll be like a table of 100. Can Bruno accommodate? That'll be the question.
And the last thing of the Santa Anita Derby is on the card tomorrow at 5:45 Eastern time. So they're running all these three big races, I guess, within an hour apart. It'll be going Wood and then Bluegrass and then the Santa Anita Derby, kind of a small field because basically it looks like a 2-horse race between Messier, and I guess I got to put back my Ranger's hat, but a horse for Tim Yakteen. I don't know if he was previously trained by Baffert or not. It might be, but Messier is even money against Forbidden Kingdom, who's Richard Mandela. I know Caton Bradar loves Forbidden Kingdom, and what Caton likes, I usually like too, because she knows what she's doing. So Forbidden Kingdom will be my chalky pick in the Santa Anita Derby. So I'm going 2 chalks and a couple of long shots in the big three.
You keep track of all this? I give you credit. Like you threw out 15 things.
My bank account. No, but I did well last week.
What happened? What happened to Corniche? What happened to that horse? I haven't seen anything from Corniche, the winner of the Breeders' Cup Juvenile.
Right.
Looked very impressive to me. Another Baffert horse. They were going to have to debate what to do, and the owner was very gracious in saying, "Oh yeah, well, we don't know what's happening with Bob yet, but we're not acing him out." But I haven't seen this horse run. Has he been on the track at all this year?
I didn't Google him. I don't know if he's gotten injured. I don't know if they've got him on the shelf for later in the year. But Corniche has seemed to gone the way of chicken chow mein. Defo.
Yeah,
Aha. I was listening.
You were listening.
You're
Yeah,
right.
no, that's true. Nobody. I mean, does anybody order that in a Chinese restaurant? Chicken chow mein. And if
Not
they
me,
do,
but-
I mean, you being the discriminating, food critic that you are, I mean, do you not look at the person and say, you might want to try something else?
What is chicken chow mein? Because isn't it just like it's
A lot
kind
of
of like
celery, yeah,
it's,
and
it's
goop.
a skyline chili of Chinese
yeah,
food.
it
It's just
really
a big
is, yeah.
gloppy mess that you put
Good way
over
to describe
rice.
it.
I've never had it. I just know they still serve it. Like, I don't know if I've actually had.
But
chicken
I was
chow
like you. I used to have it all the time as a
All the
kid,
time,
even
right.
in restaurants. But yeah, it's just a lot
What
of
was in the top
celery.
can that you peeled off? You had the little like kind of red
Was it
band, and you peeled the
crunchy
top.
noodles.
Can. Oh, that's what it was.
Oh, yeah,
It had
it's
the little
noodles. Isn't
crunchy
it like the
noodles,
French-
like the
the
decorative
onion
crunchy
things?
noodles.
Very
on
good,
top.
my friend.
Not
They
even
couldn't
onion,
just sell
not
you in the
onion
back?
strings. It's not potato sticks. It's
No,
just
no, but
like
I'm
the
saying,
little,
like, yeah.
yeah.
It was
But
the
you put it
Chinese
on
noodles.
top,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
crunch.
Excellent.
And they still have those style noodles at Christine Lee's at Gulfstream.
Those I like when they don't
They're very
sell
nice,
this anymore
yeah.
when we get Chinese food. They give
All
you
right,
the
we
big
have to
wide
run.
piece.
We're going to see you later on, 12 o'clock today, Odyssey Radio app, and
There you go.
Mike Mayo. The Gambling Gourmet here is Mike Mayo with the Lunchbox on the air from 12 to 1 Eastern Time. And that show is archived also on the Odyssey app, so you can catch all of the different things there. Some big shots coming up there, right? You have Anthony coming on today, and then
Yeah,
Debbie Wasserman Schultz, right, on
Yeah,
Monday.
Congresswoman who has been, I guess, sidelined by COVID, but
Yeah.
she's hopefully well enough and tentatively scheduled to come on the Lunchbox on Monday, and we'll talk food and more with her.
Don't bring up that guy. What is his name? Getz, that maniac from
he's
Trump.
Northern Florida. Wow.
Oh, Matt
Trump,
Gates.
DeSantis,
Gates, yeah. Thanks.
Roger Stone.
May as well be Getz. May as well be Goebbels, this guy. All right. Thanks, Michael. We'll see you later on. And then I'm glad you're coming out today to punch away on the opening day at Keeneland. We should be able to make it out there for the first race, so that'll be a lot of
Be
fun.
there by the second. The second.
Yeah. And we'll see you out there. We're looking forward to that. And are you going to join us to meet with Ray Hudson later on this evening?
Oh, that's
5
it.
o'clock.
I forgot about that. It's a
Yeah.
distinct possibility. Yeah.
All
we'll
right.
see.
Yeah, that's going to be at
Oh,
the
that's
Sea Watch
great.
across the street here. All right. We'll see you guys on Monday. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. It was a pleasure being with you. Mike Mayo, thanks for being with us. The professor killed it once again with the professor's big board. And we appreciate all the people tuning in, downloading the show. And then top of that, just Googling the Defo Show. It's that simple. And, of course, we have the Believe Network program After Hours with you and me. Lubie, how about that? We literally are after hours, so I'm going to put one
Today we'll
together
talk
here in
about
just a few
baseball
minutes.
with one only Craig Mish, as it will be finally opening day all around.
I like the fact that the guy that's handicapping in the New York Post for, I guess, what was Musburger's organization already buried the public.
Game one.
There was a selection of like 6 games on opening day, and he had to find one that he could lose. All right, we'll see you on Monday, and hopefully we'll come up with some winners for next week. We'll see how you fare in the Masters. Enjoy that. Maybe Tiger Woods will cash at 50 to 1. He certainly looks like he's in a position to make the cut unless things go really haywire today. So that'll be very exciting. A couple of our people on the chat line said, gotta go, guys. Gotta watch the Masters there. So they must also be getting ESPN Plus. Although everybody's kind of peeking in on this thing. Have you noticed that, Lubie? Like the Golf Channel, they have people, and they're situated somewhere where, if you look through the crowd's shoes, you can see a little bit of Tiger Woods. And they go, there he is. And then ESPN gives you a little sneak preview because they want you to watch later on. And then did you notice this? They had no other programming yesterday. It was the Masters all day long.
They should.
They isolated on Tiger's round. And you would have thought, as I said, that nobody else was playing. And if you watched any of the news this morning, Sung J M does not exist. His name is not even on the leaderboard.
The leaderboard is a guy that's
It's just Woods,
like
Woods. And maybe we need to applaud that. I mean, you know what? That couldn't have been an easy comeback, huh? I mean, imagine coming back to that level of distinction where you're 1 under on a day where only 10 guys shot under par in the entire Masters field, despite, Lubie, the soft landing conditions, almost as if they were landing on a pillow right by the pin of the greens. We'll see how the conditions are today. And we hope you guys are in good condition on Monday when we join you again on ION Channel. I'm Jeff Deforrest for Mike Lubie Lubitz. We'll see you next time as we leave you now that.
The time.
Oh, and I talked to Tommy Fox. Things are cooking down there at Jimmy Johnson's Big Show.
What's going on? I want to go, but
We're going to make the trip.
summer. Like, let's get going.
Maybe in conjunction, with the book being released that Dave Hyde wrote that he talked about on the show yesterday. It's 9:04.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.